What's good, sir?
What's poppin', my guy? What's up?
None much, none much. On this beautiful Saturday morning, afternoon, whatever it is for some people. But yes, it is a beautiful day outside. Beautiful day. Finally.
Not out here in the East Coast. We still looking cloudy and earthquakey.
That. I'm sorry. That came from us. Well, at least we we kind of just passed that like Wednesday, Thursday, uh what's that? Yeah, Saturday. So on Wednesday, I think a little bit Thursday, it was like a cloudy session. So y'all getting that right now, most likely. Uh, yeah, but bright times are coming. All right, so just know that bright times will be there.
Yeah, yeah. It is what it is, man. So let's get into this gaming talk. We got anything to talk about this game? What is the topic of Twitter for today? Because I was on Twitter the last couple of days. Um, I haven't been on there today because I know every day there's something new happening on there, some new debate about something. The last time I was up there, they was talking about frame rates. How not hell divers. What the fuck was that? Hellblade is only gonna run at 30 FPS. So real quick, before I even say anything else, let you speak rather.
Now you go
Um,
ahead.
they said Hellblade is gonna run at 30 FPS, right? So what are the odds that Grand Theft Auto 6 is gonna run at 30 FPS? Because I'm pretty sure it will.
Well,
PS5 Pro and everything. I'm pretty sure Grand Theft Auto 6 is gonna run at 30 FPS. There's nothing you can do about it because they never released the Rockstar has never released a game um the first game of whatever game they got. Like it's not I'm not talking about remakes and stuff like that, right? So that you got the Grand Theft Auto San Andreas remake, you got the Grand Theft Auto 5 remake that was on PS4 and PS5. Because remember that game came out back in PS fucking 3. We did a whole two. That's three generations damn near of this Grand Theft Auto 5. But when it first originally came out, every game that they ever made, they came out. Redemption, same thing. So, um, what do you think of the odds that that game's gonna? That the most likely the game's gonna come out and be 30 FPS.
um, well, let me make this disclaimer because um, since Hellblade 2 is coming out as 30 FPS, I don't think we can make the correlation. I mean, you can, of course, you can, but I don't think it's justice to make the correlation because Hellblade 2 is coming out. Only because that's a Microsoft thing. Like that's what Microsoft do. They releasing their games. They have released mostly all of the games at 30 FPS. Um, and then probably try to patch it later. But all the games have been launching at 30 FPS.
I don't think
Uh,
that's a Microsoft thing. I
well,
don't think
I'm
it's a
just
Microsoft thing.
I yeah. Let me backtrack. What I mean is that Microsoft titles specifically they launch at 30 FPS. There are other games that are launching at 30 FPS at lock or who don't the developers aren't locking the frame rates to 30 FPS, but they cannot go to a stable 60. Then they can't even reach 60. So, like I had posted on Twitter, Gotham Knights. That was one of them games that launched at 30 FPS. Um,
Yeah, that game has real bad optimization issues.
and it
Really bad.
does. It's not even just the frame rates. It was just bad. Like it was just a bad running game for the
Yep.
most part. Um,
Yep.
let me see, but the Dragon's Dogma that have issues with the frame rates. I think they locked it on console and they unlocked it on PC, but a lot of people with high end rigs saying that they can't even get to 60. So
I gotta try it on my PC then. I mean, I'm pretty sure they can't. A lot of these new games that come out now, as the generation progresses towards it not being what's the word cross platform, right? remember when PS5 and Xbox first came out, a lot of stuff was cross-platform. This is during COVID again. And not everybody could get their hands on a new system. So like when you had a PS5, of course the game ran at 60. You had a PS5, a PS4 Pro, some games run at 60. Even you had a regular PS4, those games ran at 30. But remember, they was making the games for both systems. They was making the games for PS4 and PS5. So when you make a game for PS4 and PS5, you're not downscaling the game. You're basically building the game from the ground up on PS4, right? And then just adding the extra bells and whistles on the PS5 version of the game to make it look, like, oh, you got a PS5, so we're gonna add this extra stuff. What was the game that came out that was like that? Wasn't God of War Ragnarok on PS4?
Yes, it was.
Right. Wasn't Horizon Forbidden West on PS4?
Yes, sir. Besides the DLC,
Besides the
besides that last
DLC.
DLC, but yeah, it was all on PS. Matter of fact, I think the God of War DLC wasn't on PS4 either, if I'm not mistaken.
Pretty sure it wasn't. So you have those games, right? You have those games that were on PS4. You have those games that were on the PS5, but they released at the same time on for both platforms. That means that those games are built up for the ground up for PS4. So of course the games are gonna run at 60 FPS. The point I'm trying to make, and I pray to God that you're recording this, by the way, because I gotta use this in the Twitter space
Yes, sir.
soon. But the point I'm trying to make is that when you're making a game for a previous generation, of course, the next generation is going to be able to run it at 60 FPS. When you're making a game ground up, not every single game, we're not talking about every single game, but as the generation goes on, when you're making a game ground up for a new generation console, you're trying to push that console. So now you're going to see more games running at 30 FPS. Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm pretty sure is going to run at 30 FPS. Dragon's Dogma runs at 30 FPS. Shit, even fucking Star Wars Jedi, no, not Jedi Survivor. What was that? Yeah, Jedi Survivor. Yeah, Jedi Survivor ran fucked up, and when it first started, it ran fucked up on everything, but it ran fucked up on that. What was that other games? There's a lot of games that's gonna come out in the future that's gonna run at 30 FPS on the new consoles. Now, granted, you have some games that won't, right? The games that won't do that, Spider-Man 2. Because Spider-Man 2 is using the same engine, the same thing as Spider-Man, the first one on PS4. They upscaled it a little bit or whatever. That game could have possibly came out on PS4 if they really wanted to. Same thing with I know that was a debate for a while actually on Twitter with Ratchet and Clank. Remember when Ratchet and Clank came to Steam Deck and everybody was like, "Oh, look, you can run it off of a SD card. You don't need the SSD." They was doing a big thing about that too, right? Back then. Um, but these are using all the same tools for the PS4, but they just
Now,
branded as
now
PS5.
they did say with the Ratchet, and again, I haven't played it on console or PC, so I'm just going off what other people said. But they did say that it was a lot of tests done that the SSD made the game more faster. The load times when Ratchet was going through those portals, and I saw videos of it. It did take it did take longer for Ratchet to get through the other worlds, for the other worlds to load up. So it did take the immersion out. Now they and I do and I'm just debunking this only because that's been the talk. It was a talk on Twitter. They
Yep.
never said that. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think Insomniac said. Matter of fact, no, I lied. I think they did say that. They did say that the power of the SSD is what's making Ratchet do all of these things, right?
Yep. They
But it
did.
was
That
it
was
was
a
misleading.
marketing tactic.
Yeah, it was misleading. It was a marketing. It wasn't the SSD that made Ratchet go because you didn't have to have an SSD for that function to work in a video game. It was just a function. But they should have worded it differently because without that SSD, the immersion is totally taken out from that game. If you're trying to play that on the PC without an SSD, that looks horrible. I'm gonna be real with you.
Yeah, because you're playing it on a what they call it, HDD or HD, whatever the shit is called.
Yeah,
You're playing it on a hard disk, and when you're playing anything on a hard disk, that shit is slow. Remember, we used to play that shit on PS3. PS3 had a hard disk. Xbox had their own. Xbox 360 had their own proprietary, whatever however you want to say it, drive. And they had the little memory cards. But we used to play games on those systems. That's my favorite generation, by the way. Whatever generation that was, which I made a video about it. I'm pretty sure that's the 6 or 7 generation. Whatever, doesn't matter. When you play games on those systems, the load times are crazy. I remember playing Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 1, bro, on Xbox 360, and every 2 seconds that shit had to load something, had to pull in something, pop in
Yes.
everything. A game
Yeah.
like Call of Duty would never do that because a game like Call of Duty is optimized for certain specific shit. It's not that Call of Duty look. So that's another thing. We could talk about graphics. Graphics has never been everything about a game. You gotta have gameplay, and that's why Nintendo sells their games, right? Because they have gameplay. They don't care about specs. They don't care about hardware. Outperforming another hardware. They care about what the core game plays like. So then, when you play a game like Call of Duty, what's the main reason people go to Call of Duty? Why do people play Call of Duty? Why is that the number one selling game almost damn near every year? Because of the gameplay loop that it has, right? It's
Wait,
not that the
wait,
graphics are
wait,
amazing.
wait.
Oh,
I gotta add something to that.
go
I
ahead, go
gotta
ahead.
add something to it. Um, Call of Duty has been a locked 60 FPS ever since the first. I'm not sure ever since Modern Warfare, the first one, but multiplayer wise, it has been a locked 60 FPS every single game.
Yeah, it has. Why is that? Is it the best looking shooter game of all time?
It's up there.
I don't think it's the best looking shooting game. I think
It's up there. It's at least top. If we talk about first person shooters, Call of Duty is at least top five.
in graphics wise, they've been
Yeah.
using the same engine. They might have tweaked it with the new engine a little bit. They've been using that same engine for, let me see,
And what was it? It was a
Call
Black
of Duty 4.
Ops.
Call of Duty 4. Modern
I
Warfare.
think they changed. Did they change the? I think they changed the engine sometime on the PS4, if I'm not mistaken.
They did they yeah, I'm sorry. So from Call of Duty 4 to up until the next Modern Warfare. Up until the next Modern Warfare. When they remastered Modern Warfare, remember they made Call of Duty Modern Warfare? After
Yeah,
whatever game they made,
I think
Infinite
they.
War or Infinity
Yeah,
War or
it
some
was
shit.
either Infinite Warfare like Advanced. It was either Black Ops 4, Infinite Warfare, or Advanced Warfare. They had changed the engine, but I want to say Advanced Warfare was when they changed the engine.
I'm pretty sure they changed it on Call of Duty Modern Warfare for PS4 because that's the game that got me back into playing Call of Duty again. Because I got tired of Black Ops, I got tired of Infinite War, Advanced War, whatever game it came out. Remember they even came out with the damn World War II again because they was running out of ideas. Like, oh, we're gonna do World War II again, and I hated that shit too. Then they did what was the other ones? Whatever they made when they made Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is supposed to be the remaster of Call of Duty 4, that's
Hmm.
when they changed that system because that system was changed to work with modern day consoles. Even though they made games prior to it, but this is the one that was tailored suited to modern console PS4. So then you got that one, and then you got Cold War, and then you got Vanguard, which I played all of them. Then you got Modern Warfare 2 remake, and then you got Modern Warfare 3, which I played every single one of them. I fucking live stream Warzone all the time, and I played every single one. To me, the graphics have been they go for like a realistic style graphics with a very simple game engine. When I used to play Killzone back on PS3, the physics were amazing in that game, right? You shoot I don't know if you ever played it, but if you shoot something, the bullet had a weight to it. Every gun had a different weight to it, right? The way you move when you have certain guns and the way you shoot is all crazy. When you shoot a sniper, the bullet actually has like a lag time because it's traveling through a space. and it'll drop down. So if you shoot above the guy, then it might hit him. But if you shoot exactly at him, by the time that bullet gets him, it drops. That was Killzone, right? Call of Duty is like their game engine has been the same for so long. They changed it up to make the graphics look good, but it's really cheap feeling, bro. It's really cheap feeling.
Okay. So let me see. So okay, we was kind of both
Call of Duty is
Call of Duty 2, Big Red 1, and Call of Duty 3.
oh, remember that game? Big Red One was the first one of the first games on 360 X PlayStation 3.
Yeah, I wish I played. I started at Modern Warfare 1. Um, so okay, so they got that one. They didn't use that for much. They have Sledgehammer. So Sledgehammer did. They made a completely new engine for Advanced Warfare. So that was a completely new engine. It was borrowed little aspects from the Modern Warfare 3 engine, but they have been Call of Duty has been using the same engine ever since Call of Duty 2, besides, the big red one and Call of Duty 3, which is Treyarch's engine. But they've been using the same engine since Call of Duty 2. So all the games have been using the same engine, but they revamped that engine for the Modern Warfare Remastered. So ever since Modern Warfare Remastered, we've been playing on a revamped engine of the old engine.
Yep, sounds about
The
right.
only new engines they had was the one for Advanced Warfare, which included Advanced Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered, Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered. These are the remastered versions without the multiplayer and stuff like that. And World War II, and then Treyarch had one for two games that was Call of Duty 2 Big Red and Call of Duty 3. So we've been playing on the same engine, like you said. It's just been revamped for Modern Warfare remake.
Exactly, exactly.
So yeah, you're right about that. And but it was a going back to the GTA 6 thing though, because I agree with you. I think that GTA 6 is going to launch at 30
It's
FPS.
gonna be 30
I was
FPS.
just saying the the reason why I think it isn't because of it isn't just because of like the the Microsoft thing they got going on, where they just releasing all their games at 30 FPS, which I guess we can bring this into the conversation too. The Series S is holding it back, but the main reason why I think, even if we didn't have the Series S, the main reason why I think Rockstar isn't going to release GTA 6 at 60 FPS, they're going to do it at 30 FPS, mostly because of the history. It took them to the third generation before we can get a 60 FPS patch. We didn't get a 60 FPS patch for GTA 5 until the PS5 and the Xbox Series consoles, and that was like a year or two. That was like 2 years into their life cycle. So I just think that those games just be too ambitious to where they focus on more of the graphics and everything they got going on inside of the game. They want to make it as beautiful as possible. Um, but I also think too, this was my main criticism with GTA 5. It was the loading times, like we were just talking about with a lot of these
Hmm.
other games. The loading times were atrocious, and that was the first thing they fixed when it came to the newer consoles, because of course the power of the SSDs within these consoles, right? They have better technology to work with, um, so that's understandable. But that was the history. And I'm gonna be real with you. Like I said, that was my main critique of GTA 5. It was the loading times. I love 60 FPS gaming. Don't get me wrong. I play 60 FPS and everything I play for the most part. When it comes to exceptions, I made one for Gotham Knights. That was just me being a Nightwing, Bat Family fan, and I was gonna do a review on it too, but I ended up scrapping it. But GTA 6 is GTA is one of those titles. where, to be honest with you, they don't need to come out with a 60 FPS for the game, and it's still gonna be as
Oh,
successful
of
as it
course.
would have been if they put the work into to do that.
Look
But
at the hype they got from just the trailer alone. Look at the
exactly,
hype they got for that.
exactly, but I do hope that our if Rockstar releases GTA 6 and already like flat out and come out with a nice loading system where it mimics GTA 5 or even better, that is my main critique of the GTA series. I would rather that than them to focus on the 60 FPS because, to be honest with you, we probably not going to get it until the PS6 is out anyway. To like we go
Most
3 years
likely,
into the
and then you
PS.
know they're gonna remaster that damn game on there because um what every company wants to do is make a game and make a game last for generations, right? So Grand Theft Auto 5 being one of the first ones because Grand Theft Auto 5 released on PS3, then remastered on PS4, then remastered on PS5. It got released 3 times, right? Certain games though, not every game is gonna do that because they didn't do that with Red Dead 2. They never remade that game again. It was just Red Dead 2 is Red Dead 2. That's locked at 30 FPS on consoles, and you can play it. I can play it on Steam Deck a little bit over 30 FPS on Steam Deck, right? But every company wants to make a live service game that lasts generations because guess what? All you had to do with Grand Theft Auto 5 is release things for the multiplayer, which I don't like. I don't like the multiplayer on Grand Theft Auto. But that's all you have to do. And you'll make generations of money. That game has been selling out. So then that's Rockstar that got that one game. So if we want to bring up another game that's kind of like that, they've been releasing forever. Look at Mario Kart fucking 9 or whatever, the 8, whatever. Mario, the latest Mario Kart. That's been played through 2 generations as well, right? Wasn't that released on Wii U? So every company wants to make a game like this. Sony, I don't know what I don't know what live service type of game they trying to do, but they got Helldivers right now at the moment. So and that ticked off for them. Uh Bungie had Destiny. That was their game. But like do you realize, right? Every time a company gets one of these games, how long did these games last and what other game do they make after that? What game has Rockstar made besides Red Dead after Grand Theft Auto 5? They haven't made really much nothing. They remastered
Uh,
the Grand
GTA again.
Yeah, they remastered those GTA and that shit was shit, right? Okay. What game uh has Bungie made besides Destiny after Destiny took off? They haven't made anything after that. They on
My fault.
the whole focus on for that team is to make Destiny do things for Destiny 2, right? All right, so let's go a little deeper. We can even talk about Activision. What new IPs have Activision has made since being acquired by Microsoft, even before Microsoft? They bread and butter is Call of Duty.
That's that's this whole industry.
Yeah,
Um, what's that game? Not Baldur's Gate. What's that? Dota? Is it Dota? No, not Dota. What's that one game?
what's that?
Crap. It's like the Dungeons and Dragons game. Um,
You must be talking about Baldur's Gate 3.
Not Baldur's Gate 3. It's something like it though. I think it's Dota. Is it Dota?
Oh! I know you're talking about. You're talking about Activision Blizzard. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the called Dota. It's DATA. No, DOTA. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, that's a Dungeons and Dragons
Was it
style game.
Dota? Dota 3? What was
Dota
that?
3. No, you're right. You're
Something.
right. Dota 3, and they got, I think there's Dota 4 too. I'm not 100% sure. I have to look that up. But I know exactly what you're talking about. But what about that?
No, that's still in beta. It was a game that Activision. I was just saying it was a game that Activision released. But I I get what you're saying though, because a lot of these companies aren't even the play. We talk about the PlayStation Studios all the time about what the heck are they? What are y'all doing? Like what are y'all working
We
on?
don't know what they're working on. Um, And yeah, thank God they made games like God of War Ragnarok, Horizon, and Gran Turismo, stuff like that. But Gran Turismo is a live service, right? They love that. What the fuck is Naughty Dog making? What are they making? We thought they was gonna do The Last of Us. They did the two Last of Us remakes, The Last of Us remake one and The Last of Us maybe remake two. Whatever. You had to pay $10 if you had the physical disc on PS4. You had that. They was trying to make Last of Us multiplayer, which the Last of Us multiplayer was fun as fuck. Just like the Uncharted multiplayer was fun as fuck. They was fun. But that's what they was going for. And it's hard to make a multiplayer game that sticks. So now Sony did this before. And like I said, I'm glad this video space is being recorded. Sony has tried this before. When did they try this? They tried it on PS3 generation. They made a game Warhawk. Remember that?
Yep. Yeah, be honest with you, all of Sony's first party games had multiplayer aspects.
They didn't really they
All of
didn't
them.
really do that too much on PS4 generation though.
Exactly. That because the kill zones, the Uncharted's, the Warhawks, Starhawks, the Resistance, all the games had multiplayer aspects to it, which is the craziest thing. How like they can't get they barely have any multiplayer now when they have released, like Horizon has released. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that it should have came with
I pray to
multiplayer,
God that it doesn't.
but they are working on a Horizon
I
multiplayer
know,
game
I
though.
know.
So it's like their strategy has been, and we saw with the Spider-Man leak that they was working on a Spider-Man standalone,
Oh
multiplayer
God.
game. It looked like it was standalone. It's just like, what? Where did this idea come from? It most likely because they was trying to follow the Call of Duties and Fortnites of the world, but
Of
still,
course,
like,
of course.
Sony was successful with their first party games, and of course their second party deals and stuff like that too. But they were successful with their first party games during the PS3 generation, and
Hmm.
mostly all the PS3 games came with multiplayer aspects.
They was
So
trying to break
if
into
you're
that, man.
already, but you were already successful with that, so I think that's the reason. I think what you are hitting it right on the head. No Diddy. The fact that
No Diddy.
the fact that all these games, we don't know what these people are working on. We know Last of Us multiplayer is canceled, or at least they ripped it. For what we know, is canceled.
Yeah, we don't know
Okay,
what Naughty
well,
Dog's gonna do, and Naughty Dog's a very talented studio.
exactly. We know that the Spider-Man game was canceled, the multiplayer.
Yeah, as it
We
should
know
be.
that Horizon is their focus on a multiplayer game. For maybe the solution is, how about they just work on their games, their series of games, Horizon 1, 2, and 3, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, The Last of Us 1, 2, and 3, and then launch the multiplayer after the series of games. Or
That might be a
dumb
strategy to
it
use.
down, to like the Ghost of Tsushima way, and then launch a bigger
Ah.
multiplayer game
Did you play the
afterwards.
Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer? Did you play that?
I played the crap out of the multi. In fact, I leveled up most of my characters on multiplayer before I even touched the
On
single
Ghost of
player.
Tsushima.
On Ghost of Tsushima, I
Yo,
put hundreds of hours into that multiplayer before I even touched the single. I put at least 100 hours into the multiplayer before I touched the single player.
I've never ever played the Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer.
It is
I
fun.
platinumed the
In
game.
fact, I'm gonna be.
I platinumed the main game. I did a DLC because I remember they had the little DLC. Uh, I
Mhm,
platinumed the game twice actually. I platinumed on PS4. I know that it transferred to PS5, but I played it again on whatever mode it was. It was like a different mode they had for the director's cut of the game or whatever. I played it again. I've never
mhm.
touched that multiplayer. I never touched that
You
multiplayer.
should.
I mean, I'm probably not going to because I live stream Warzone, right? For anybody who's listening right now, because I know this is gonna be on YouTube later, I live stream Warzone, I live stream Helldivers, I live stream multiplayer games. I will eventually switch over to single player games, but at the moment we're live streaming multiplayer games. But I've never played that. Same thing.
So let me ask you this then. Let me ask you this then. Out of any criticism you can give Ghost of Tsushima for what you played, what would be your criticism of the game if you have
I,
any?
I, I really don't, because I like the game, but I don't think that every game just needs a multiplayer though.
Okay, so think of something.
Think
Think of
of
something.
a con that I have with the game.
Yep.
The only con that I could ever think of at the moment would have to be that the game is easy as fuck. I
That's why you should play the multiplayer.
There he goes. He killed me in this conversation.
That's why you should play the because that is the only con that I have with the game.
Why is the game easy?
And I don't know why well, actually I do know why the game is easy. They give you everything in a single player. You have everything. In the multiplayer, you have classes. So,
Okay.
and of course the enemy spike is more difficult as well because you have different levels to the enemies. So it's two things. One, you have classes. So if you have four people on your squad, and I think they have it to where it can be like up to eight people too
Mm.
now. But for survival, you got classes. So everybody don't have everything like how you have in the single player. Everybody have a select loadout or select abilities that they can put in their loadouts,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you gotta survive with the loadouts that you have. On top of you have more increased enemy spikes.
You
So
know what
when
the
I
multiplayer reminded me of? Why I didn't want to play it.
what was up?
You remember when? So like you were saying, that he was putting multiplayer on every game, right?
Hmm.
Do you remember when they did the Assassin's Creed multiplayer?
Oh yes, and I love the first outings of it. That I love that. I ain't gonna lie to you. I was on that.
So you played the Assassin's Creed multiplayer. Well, I did the same thing too.
Yes, Brotherhood is probably still one of my favorite. It is still my favorite Assassin's Creed to this day. I haven't played all of them yet, so take that with a grain of salt. I haven't played the revamped ones. I played a little bit of Origins. That's it. I haven't played Odyssey. I haven't played the other
There's no
ones.
multiplayer on
Um,
those.
right. But still, Brotherhood was my favorite, and it's still to this day, without playing the other ones, my favorite Assassin's Creed. And a lot of it had to do with it's not just the multiplayer. If they didn't have multiplayer, I probably would still be saying this because I just loved the single player that much. But the multiplayer definitely kept me on that game and made me remember that. Like it kept it in my mind for a long time.
Well, all right. So I played the Assassin's Creed multiplayer too, but that's what it reminded me of when they said they was
I
gonna
feel that.
do Ghost of Tsushima multiplayer. It's like Assassin's Creed didn't need multiplayer, just like Ghost of Tsushima didn't need multiplayer. I could understand the first person shooter. You got a first person shooter, you want to play online, Killzone Resistance, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Medal of Honor, whatever game, whatever those games are. Some of them didn't have multiplayer, like Bioshock and shit like that. But not every game needed a multiplayer. That's the whole point I'm getting at. Not every game needed a
It
multiplayer.
did. I agree with you. The Assassin's Creed multiplayer, and I know because you said you played it, right?
I played the Assassin's Creed multiplayer. I remember that. I remember being hiding in the crowd, looking for somebody who wasn't acting like an NPC, and then I had to go kill him. I remember that.
You didn't like that though?
I liked it, but I didn't think that it was necessary to have in that game. So that's something that died out, right? There's never gonna be an Assassin's Creed multiplayer game again.
Nah, that's not true. They talking about a what you call it's an Assassin's Creed with like all the Assassin's Creed, the history of Assassin's Creed, like in it. Um, I don't think it's gonna be a only multiplayer game. I think it's a single player game, if I'm not mistaken. No, it might be an actual multiplayer game, but it should be coming back during that game. But still, because again, Brotherhood wasn't the only one that had multiplayer. It didn't die out because Assassin's Creed had multiplayer. It died out because they didn't know what to do with the multiplayer because it had multiplayer for a couple games, but it got more boring as time went on. Um, but yeah, I mean I agree. It don't not every game needs to have multiplayer, and I don't think that Assassin's Creed or Ghost of Tsushima needed those modes. They didn't need those modes at all. But for me, they both of those multiplayer games enhanced the experience for me to the point where I wasn't buying other games because I was still on this game. I'm gonna be real with you,
Right.
and I'm gonna be real. I really like. So let me draw this distinction too. The gameplay and even the premise for those two multiplayer games are nothing like Ghost of Tsushima Legends is nothing like Assassin's Creed multiplayer like at all whatsoever.
No.
But no, it's not. But I did like. I think it was Assassin's Creed multiplayer, Brotherhood multiplayer. I think was a pivotal moment in gaming because it brought something different that most games did not. Like it was new. It was innovative. That was a innovative time for gaming in general, but for multiplayer games as well. There was nothing like Assassin's Creed multiplayer.
There was not. There wasn't. But I'm just what I was just saying was just that like every game did need to have the multiplayer. Did I enjoy it? I enjoyed it. Did it need it? Not necessarily. Did I take a lot of my time to play? Would you have rather played Assassin's Creed multiplayer or Assassin's Creed single player? People buy Assassin's Creed for single
Um,
player. They don't buy Assassin's Creed for multiplayer. When you
right.
so
I agree with Brotherhood. It was half and half. I was I was so grateful for the single player and I was so grateful for the multiplayer. After Brotherhood, it was all about single player. I'm gonna be real with you. I did play multiplayer still, but after Brotherhood, it went downhill in the multiplayer department for me. They did improve. It was another I forget which one it was. I think it was Assassin's Creed. I don't think Revelations had multiplayer if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't remember that one having multiplayer. I
It was something I don't remember 3 having multiplayer, but it was another Assassin's Creed that had multiplayer that I feel like they 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 improved upon it, but it just didn't have the same spark as the first one did. Like it was surprising how I was surprised. Like, I think everybody was surprised at the game, at the multiplayer, at Brotherhood. But then after that second outing, it was just bad. Like it was bad.
Yeah, man, but like, so basically, the moral of the story was for this the topic that I brought up is that during that time, Sony tried to shoot for the live service games back then on the PS3 generation. Everybody did, not just Sony, but every company tried at least. I remember this is another game that didn't need to have multiplayer. Mass Effect, one of my top 5 favorite game series of all time. They put multiplayer in it. It wasn't multiplayer in terms of going against each other to kill each other. I don't remember that. I think it was just like kind of like Helldivers, like an objective base. But that game didn't need to have multiplayer. What was it like? So, what are you doing? Sorry, I'm driving. A lot of these games didn't need to have that then, and Sony was trying their hardest to get one of these live service games. There's so many games I remember back during that generation that they tried because all the Resistance games had multiplayer. All the Killzones had multiplayer. Um, what was that other game? Remember they had Warhawk. They tried that shit with Warhawk. They even try to add that shit to God of War, bro. Remember God of War? What game was that? God of War what?
Oh, Ascension. Hey, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I did not play Ascensions. I only played the demo, but the demo had the multiplayer in it, and I really like that multiplayer. I'm sorry. I apologize. I like that multiplayer. I played that demo for I don't know how long. And Beats, you muted, by the way. You probably did it on purpose, but I just want to let you know if you did. You muted.
Oh wow, I didn't even know I was muted. Damn, that's
But
crazy. I don't know what happened with that, but yeah, man. So God of War Ascension didn't need that because I know that that was it was a single player game, but it also was a multiplayer game. Also,
hmm
that didn't need to have multiplayer to that game either. Uh,
it did it, but wasn't it
I
fun?
don't remember playing. I don't because I didn't really like the idea of God of War having multiplayer, so I didn't play that. But I was just saying these are the games that Sony was trying to do during the time they was trying to add multiplayer to every game that they had. They freaking even made a PlayStation All Star Brawl. Remember that piece of shit game? It wasn't that good.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I like that
This
too.
guy, he like that. I didn't like that either because I was playing Smash and I didn't like it. So that
I feel you. I feel, and I do like Smash. Smash is definitely the better brawler, but that was a fun. The only thing about that game was the supers, knocking people out with the supers. That was, and it was unbalanced. But everything else, I love the fact that the combat was different to Smash. I really like that combat
it
systems
kind
they
of
had in that
reminded me
game.
of multiverses because that's the same thing that happened with multiverses.
Exactly. Yeah, I think All Stars is a better game than multiverses. To be honest with you,
I mean I don't because I don't remember the gameplay of the game. I don't remember the gameplay loop, but it's kind of
it
similar.
it may not been as it's not as balanced. It's not as balanced. Don't get me wrong, because again, the supers and All Stars was just it was unbalanced. Point blank. Period. But as far as like fun factor, I think the combos, because the combos that they had in multiverses, you do different moves with the different commands, like the button commands, but it's not. They don't feel cohesive enough. Like they just feel like a whole bunch of different sets of moves. And All Stars, you can do combos with those. It felt like you do more combos with those commands. So that's why I really like it. It was like a fighting game, but you was doing different commands that you would actually do in a fighting game.
Right, right. So that means so you had that game. I don't because I didn't really play it that much.
Man, you need to play these multiplayer. I'm telling, bro. Look, trust me. I get what you're saying. I, and I agree with you. Not all these games need multiplayer, but hear
Go
me out.
ahead.
Sony is not. Sony is known for their single player experiences, but that's only because of the
And
PS4.
PS3.
And okay, yes, it's yeah, PS3 as well. So the thing of, okay, you're right. So they are known for their single player experiences, but I think it's unjust. I really think that it's I can't think of the word, but it's very unjust to say that Sony only does single player well, because the multiplayer, like, that was Sony. They had multiplayer it seemed like every single time.
They did.
Now
They did. But now this is the thing. This is
the
the thing you gotta.
PS4,
This is the
you
thing. Not to cut you off, but this is the thing that you have to remember. Sony wanted a hit, a live service game that they made to hit. Did Resistance take off multiplayer wise? It was decent, but it was like was it a Halo or
no,
a Call of Duty?
no,
No. What about God of
no,
War? Was God of War did they ever added multiplayer back to that? No.
no.
Okay. What was that the one? Did All Star Brawl
Starhawk,
Warhawk?
Warhawk,
No. What
nope.
about Mag? Remember Mag? Remember they made that? Oh, we're gonna have 200 people on the same. Oh no.
Especially no. I have that game. I
Oh,
put hours to that
there
game,
you
but
go. So there
hell
you got that
no.
game too. All Star Brawl didn't take off. None of these, none of the, none, no multiplayer game that Sony made has taken off. The best multiplayer game that has taken off for them to this date is Helldivers, Gran Turismo, and that's it. Not they even made a fucking Twisted Metal game. We tried to do just multiplayer.
Oh yeah,
Didn't take
right,
off.
yeah. But the But that's the thing, though. I think that's what Sony messed up at. I think the biggest reason why Helldivers is what it is now is because it's not a Sony first party
It's not a
studio.
first, Sony first party studio, but it's still
It's
an exclusive.
It's an exclusive, yes, but that's just because Sony paid for it. But Sony did not. They didn't have their hands really in developing it. They didn't have to oversee it. They hey, look, we see what you're doing. We like this. We may want to add that you have to do this, or you may have to take one thing out, or something like that. But hey, here's the money. Go do you. That's the reason why Hill Divers is what it is now. But that's what Sony is messing up at. They want that mag. They put all that resources in the mag for what? Do you put all these resources in I don't know another only multiplayer game, but that wasn't Sony's forte. Their forte was great single player games that had additional fun multiplayer aspects to it, and that was them. They didn't need those multiplayer games to take off because they had the single player experiences, and that was going to carry the sales for the multiplayer games. I mean, for the games in general, they didn't need multiplayer games to take off. Just like they don't need multiplayer games in a single player games, they didn't need them to take off. That was all the single players work. So them trying to pivot into this Fortnite and Call of Duty Warzone type era is fucking them up. And we can see it now too when they announced they trying to do all these live service games and all the pushback they got from it.
They get in the pushback because nobody wants to hear about them doing the live service games. But the problem is that the
Right,
game development costs too much. It costs too much
right.
to make games now, right? So when you make a game like God of War, Horizon, and all these games, and the game don't sell, and the game flops. That's why they don't take a lot of risks. If these games don't sell, the company doesn't make money. But what is a live service game? The live service game is always bringing in money. It's endless money. It's endless money. Look at Fortnite. Fortnite's been going on for God knows how long. Same thing with
Only if you do it right.
called it is if you do it right. You don't know until you try. You don't know until you try.
Eh,
So you don't know.
you right. Let me not
You
push
don't
back.
know
Let me
until
not
you
push
try.
back too much.
There's been too many live service games that failed, brother. Anthem didn't sell. Remember Anthem when that came out?
Yeah, I do remember that, but that's a misconception too because for the amount of and I wanted to go on Twitter with this too. The amount of games that failed, there's another game that succeeded. Like a lot of live service games still to this day are going strong.
You
But
really?
but again, yeah, we look DC Universe Online, right? We
That's true.
just that and that's
Um, Freddie, hold on one second. Give me 2 seconds. 1 second. I'm still in the chat, but give me 2 seconds.
okay. Well, I'm gonna just list the couple games there because there's a lot of games that people forgot too. DC Universe Online, that was one of the OGs, right? Of course, we're not talking about like World of Warcraft OGs, but we talking about like if we talk about PS3 era, that's an OG. We got Naruto to Boruto Shinobi Striker, which a lot of people forgot about too. They just put out another what you call it, another DLC
Ooh,
pack. We got the DBZ games.
my
You
head is
got
done.
DBZ. What's that game? Uh, Not Sparking. Sparking's about to come out. DBZ.
Which talking about?
What's the live service DBZ game that's going on right now? Xenoverse. We got Xenoverse.
Ah,
That's out.
yeah.
Hey, that's successful. That is a very successful game. Can't nobody argue that. But Bungie, with Destiny, that just in a year, right? In the last, in fact, half a year. It wasn't even a year. It was it's only well it's going on to a year now. But we got the reports that Destiny 2 only has been doing bad for half a year when we got that report. All them other years, even the first Destiny, all them other years, it was a successful. It was a successful game, a revenue generating game. So yeah, we got Suicide Squad that failed, right? But this is the point I'm making. There's a consensus with some of these games. You got big IPs, right? You got the big Dragon Ball Z games. That's a big IP. Destiny became a good IP. Naruto is a big IP. You got these big games that aren't being developed by first party studios, and I think that's the problem. Fortnite with Epic Games, right? And they had two live service games, right? Paragon that that even failed. They just stopped working on the game because of Fortnite's success. So we can't even count that as a failure, especially since it's back now as predecessor. That's not even a failure. You did have Anthem, yeah, okay, but Fortnite and
Ain't the
Paragon,
only one.
right? That was from Apple, and I know it's some other ones, but still, like people, my thing is people they be so focused on the games that failed and not looking at the games that's still here when there's a lot of live service games that's still around. But the
Yeah,
point I'm trying to make is that
Overwatch is one too. You got
yeah, Overwatch,
Diablo 4.
um, Diablo, that was the game I was talking about. Yeah, Diablo. That when I was talking about Blizzard.
Oh, the
Um,
one that was like the OTA.
yeah.
Yeah.
I forget all about Diablo. I was thinking of Dota, but yeah, there's. But the thing about it is that what Sony is messing up at is that why would you have 10 live service games? Why? Why? What point of making 10 live service games? What is the point of it?
Um.
That's simple mismanagement right there.
Huh?
Simple.
Yeah.
You don't have to have
AT&T.
degrees in business or experience in business to know that.
Let me
That's
let me explain. Let me explain to you why they want to do live service games. They want to do live service games because Call of Duty by itself can upload Activision. They can single-handedly just support everything Activision wants to do. Not Diablo, not anything else. Like this Call of Duty alone makes billions of dollars a year. That's what every company wants. So if you have 10 of those IPs that make billions of dollars a year, you don't even need to do anything else. Don't need
but
to do
that's the
anything else.
right. And I think I understand why they want to do it. The attention, and I think most people understand the intention. But again, that's like Marvel saying they coming out with with freaking six big MCU movies. No, let's say that's like saying Marvel saying they finna release 12 big Marvel movies that's releasing all in 1 year, and they're releasing two of them in the same month. So you got two big Marvel projects in the box office right now,
Right.
splitting up the player the audience. You're taking money from your own company, and it's simple. So that's a mismanagement thing. Period. It don't make sense. That's like Disney releasing 7 Disney Plus shows, Marvel
Mm-hmm.
Disney Plus shows, and a lot of them airing right back after each other,
True.
or they airing at the same time. A lot of them airing at the same time.
True.
And then if you
We
want
got we
that
got somebody
Fortnite
new
money,
here. What's going on, man? Welcome to the topic in Twitter space for today.
and I'm about to hey DJ Killzone, I just invited you to speak. If you don't want to come up, that's totally fine. But I just sent the invite just in case anyway. Um, but uh, dang, what I was about to say. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you want to chase that, let's say you want to chase that Fortnite money, right?
Yeah, what up? What
You
up?
want to. What up, DJ Killzone? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. What we talking about, man? What's going on? I just came in at the tail end about I heard Fortnite and I had to slide through. No,
So, we were the whole topic was we was talking about the 30 FPS fiasco.
I'm so
Um,
tired of everybody talking about
because
this,
we
man. I'm so
yeah.
tired because at the end of the day, I keep saying it. People, people is talking about this because it's trendy to talk about it. It's not really like we haven't even played the game. I mean, we've seen a lot of it over the last couple years. They took their time with it. The first Hellblade was a dope game. You know what I'm saying? Towards the end it got a little samey, but I like the overall premise of the game. I like, the 3D audio. I like the combat. It reminded me of Rise, Son of Rome a little bit. Like a spiritual successor to that, and it's just the story was just so crazy, and now we getting to see the aftermath of her choices and what she with the quest that Senna was on. But I just feel like every time we had this discussion about frame rates, about exclusives and stuff like that, everybody is either one, they just, powwow with their buddies, or if they own a particular console, or they trying to, you know what I'm saying, they trying to get the views. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with everybody when J. Cole dropped that diss on uh Thursday night and everybody ran. I started to, but I said, nah, I could make me a video or whatever the case may be. It'll go up. I'm sitting here watching it in real time. And if I went ahead, did the video, ran to that last song where he dissed them and everything else like that, or just skimmed through the song, found it like people it's painfully obvious, but because everybody's talking about it, nobody's gonna say nothing about it. So that's my 2 cents on that. The game still looks good. It's still gonna play good if you're a fan of this type of game. Not everybody is, and I feel like people should just pipe down. But that's the nature of the conversation. Is if it's something against PlayStation or something against Xbox, people gonna talk about it, and that's just the way of the world. So my bad if I was being long winded, but that's just what it is.
It don't matter. We conversing. I'm gonna be real with you though, man. Y'all, if y'all want to interrupt, y'all, it don't matter. Say what's on your mind. All right, say what's on your mind. But I'm gonna be real with you, DJ Killzone. I'm with it. I'm with all of it. I'm with the shits. I'm gonna be real with you. I like that the discourse is going on because it makes us feel like it makes me feel like we got standards. And granted, again, not everybody is really all on that 60 FPS wave and have to play games in 60 FPS. I understand that. Some people are fidelity mode players, some people are performance mode players, and some people just don't give a crap. And that's cool. You can definitely be on either side of that camp. I'm I'm fully on a 60 FPS camp, the full performance mode. That I enjoy games so much more being in performance mode. Um, so for me, I'm not playing games like that no more. Like I bought a PS5 specifically for a faster UI and 60 FPS, and I'm not going to be playing these Xbox games like that. Now, let's say if the roles were reversed,
It
right?
was reversed because Horizon was 30 frames per second.
It
It
wasn't.
wasn't? I thought it was.
Nah, Horizon was 60. In fact,
My bad. Hold on.
Horizon is one of the best. Uh-huh.
Keep going.
Okay, so like Horizon is one of them exceptions where um that game I believe, and most Sony games have like a upscaled 4K 60 FPS mode, or at least let me backtrack. Horizon ran that 4K 60 FPS, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look it up, but I believe Horizon ran that 4K 60 FPS. Um, I'm gonna look it up right now. But most of Sony's first party game, all of Sony's first party games in performance mode, I believe they upscale to 4K. See,
Okay. I mean, but even still, I'm not really. I'm more so, hey, are the games gonna be fun? Are they gonna? Because to be honest, ever since we went from, I want to say, PS2 to PS3, it really hasn't been that much of a jump as far as fidelity. I mean, now the games look more realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like we look at Spider Man or God of War, or even Halo. You know what I'm saying? It looks more realistic, more true to life. It doesn't look as cartoony as it did, back in the day. But we haven't really made like a really big leap or big jump. Now, the brother Aru, is bringing up Fortnite. See, Fortnite with that Unreal Engine and that Unreal Engine editor, that right there was like the biggest jump that I've seen in the past 10 years as far as graphics and stuff like that. Not saying that we haven't had amazing looking games, but I play the games for the games. I'm not playing, I'm right now playing Felix the Cat. They remastered it and put a collection out for it, right? I don't, that's a 20, 30-year old game, right? I don't really care so much about because even it's an OG game, as long as I could play it on the TV and it runs pretty good, I'm happy with it. You know what I'm saying? If they smooth it out, get it together, same thing with these collections of these old games. As long as it's enough features on there, I could play the game and it's at a decent price. I'm not mad at it. You know, I think that for them to I don't know if it has to be with XCloud or the Series S or whatever the case may be, for them locking it at 30 on console. I mean, I I don't know. But I know that the game is still gonna look incredible, and I know that the game is still gonna play incredible because it's from the early demo, not even just the recent demos, the early demos when they was on the beach fighting the that troll. Like that was like I couldn't believe what I was seeing because it looked so. It reminded me of what was it? Mad Max Fury Road a little bit.
mhm.
Just the way I was like, what are we? Are we watching a movie or? And it actually tricked me. So that was the first game that really tricked me that this wasn't a game because they were like, hey, we got this new trailer. I don't know if it was during the Game Awards or during the Xbox thing or Summer Games Fest, but whenever they showed their trailer, I think they had two of them, but that first one really, really caught me off guard, Freddie. So until we get our hands on it, when is it coming out? May or at the end of this month?
I think it is,
Okay,
man.
so until we get our hands on it and actually see it in action, I will reserve my final judgment on it. Now, does it suck? Yeah, because we got these souped up consoles and all that. Yeah, but at the same time, I knew that, certain games was gonna get pushed back. I knew certain games were gonna get scaled down. Hell, they even talking about pushing GTA 5 maybe possibly to late 2025, maybe 2026. So
Yeah, we were just talking about that too.
that's the thing. So if they pushing it and doing, and then here's the other part too. People don't realize they not gonna have. I ain't gonna say they're not gonna have it, but I'll be very, very surprised, Freddie, if online is available day one. And
Facts,
then
because it happened before.
yeah, or the online editor and the role playing is available day one. So I don't know, but
Now,
I feel you though, because if that's what you bought it for, then I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just not gonna be that hypercritical of these studios because it's hard. Because us being content creators, that's hard in itself. You know what I'm saying? Um, People being artists and musicians, that's hard. So I can only imagine with millions of dollars being spent and millions of dollars on the line, with hundreds of people that they gotta employ and then they gotta spend the money on the marketing. I'm giving these cats a little bit of grace. If as long as the game ain't a total dumpster fire and it still is a great game, I'm not gonna sit up there and be tripping too hard about it because I
Now,
appreciate the other side of it.
let me push back on that though, because I'm gonna be real. I'm and you ain't gotta share all your business here when I say this, but or when I ask this. But wouldn't you say that would be a reason why we can push back on it more, or why we can't have this adversity with it? Because I'm a content creator, you're a content creator. We ain't really getting paid for this. And again, you ain't get if you are you ain't got to tell me, but these people getting paid hourly. It's a lot of their jobs. Now, granted, again, we know what's going on in the gaming industry, layoffs and all that. So I'm not finna sit up here and act like I don't hear about all this stuff going on, stress and all that stuff. But still, they are pretty much content creators as well. They do a tremendously better than we do, but they getting paid for it. So could we not like? Shouldn't we have more of an incline to to have a standard on that, right? You know what I'm saying? And I'm speaking as a general consensus.
Only if it's like right now I got a Mortal Kombat 1 poster on my wall, right? And I haven't took it down
Mm.
because it still look cool, and I haven't found any posters I want to swap it out with yet, right? And I got a Across the Spider Verse poster up here, right? So when I look at this Mortal Kombat 1 poster and I look at how much time I spent playing the game, and I look at, you know, the product in itself, and I look at what's going on with, I mean, Street Fighter is cool. I just, for whatever reason, I haven't been on Street Fighter as much as I probably should, and there's a couple characters I need to play, and Akuma getting ready to come out. But anyway, but with Tekken, which is severely leaps and bounds as far as content and everything on the base game, um, ahead of Mortal Kombat 1. But even with that, it's like I gotta pay $40 for the season pass, right? Same thing with Mortal Kombat. Then I gotta pay for a fight pass. Then I gotta pay for this. Then Mortal Kombat, I got the invasions mode or whatever, and then I'm basically playing a long, drawn out game of Mario Party where I gotta just keep fighting to get to the end, and I'm leveling up my character to get little rewards and stuff. But it's like we haven't had any story DLC. They haven't had added any um extra content or whatever other than, the different seasons or whatever. And the game is buggy. So my thing is if I'm gonna push back on that. I'm push back on Suicide Squad, which I actually like the game. Shout out to 2099 Gaming. He I saw some gameplay. I said, "Oh, okay, so this is kind of the same problem Gotham Knights had, like we had talked about the other night." But that right there, I'll give that pushback more so than I'll give um like I that's the type of stuff, the greed, the corporate shenanigans. That's what I'm gonna give pushback on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not giving pushback on people that are making a quality product, even though it's even though it's not all the way up to my standards, it's still checking off the boxes for me. So yeah, they as long as they not half doing it or they're not are they trying to milk the consumer, then I'm gonna be cool with it because I can see that they put a lot of time, energy, and effort into this game. It's not gonna be hopefully it's not gonna be because you can make a game look good, but hopefully it's not gonna be a total retread of the first one. Where, like I say, we get those big boss fights and we get some more suspense and thrills and chills like we got in the first game. So if they can up the ante and up the scope and everything else like that, then I'm not gonna jump on their back like that. But I will jump on the backs of companies that's trying to nickel and dime people and not give people a great experience. I'm talking to you. You
I
know what
feel
I'm saying? I'm not finna jump on a studio that show. Not only did they show us you can make a AAA game for $40, and they only charging $40 on this one. I don't know if they doing digital or physical. I think the physical will be regular price, but they showed us that in the because that was that what 2018. They showed us what a AAA title could look like for a specific budget. Then they had Microsoft come in and help with the game and everything else like that. So they got extra resources, but still able to keep their production down, cost down low. So, I can't do nothing but salute it. Let me go on here and look on Amazon and see if the price is the same. But even if it's $60, that's still let me go on here and find it. But even then, to me, that's still, great work. Then what and it's gonna be a one and done thing. Ain't gonna be no season pass. Hopefully it's some DLC or whatever, depending on how good the game is, So I don't know. But
I feel that. And let me to play devil's advocate really quick. To play devil's advocate. This game, out of all the games, like the link I posted up above, Jack Moore Johnny has said he pretty much talking about how good the game looks. So it's and how the game plays. Everybody, Hellblade is a slow playing game. Like it's not too heavily action focused, right? So out of all the games, this game is a little bit more justified to play on a 30 FPS, fidelity mode, which I can understand. I'm gonna be real with you. I like the first Hellblade. I love the first. I played in 60 FPS, but still, I love the first Hellblade, and I think that this will be a good game. But I think there is an importance of people like you, DJ Killzone, and y'all view of it because while I do think that it's good for the certain gamers that like the 60 FPS like me to have that, to keep on with that standard. It's also good for the people that just in the lukewarm, like I don't care, especially if it's Hellblade, if it's Hellblade 2. I think that we should have more people voice their opinion like that too, because it's only going to help. Like having both the voices out there of the 60 FPS gamers that's constantly having these Xbox release titles at 30 FPS. We keep voicing our opinion. The people that don't care, I think it would be best to voice their opinion too on specifically Hellblade because it's not that type of game anyway. You know what I'm saying?
I was gonna say, like, I think people need to, because like I said, I feel like with you can have, because you bought it. That's what you bought it for. Like this girl I was dating, right? Back when the PS3 came out, and it was so funny because I thought me and her was finna lock in because this is a quick little funny story. I know y'all people be hating my stories, but this really happened, and I got proof, I got receipts. So anyway, me and her talking, right? Chick from Memphis or whatever, and like I said at the time, we talking, everything is like, how you is when you talking to a chick, right? So she tells me about her dad and her dad being a big gamer, but he stopped being a big gamer because he had went from PS2 to PS3. He bought the PS3, got it home, busted the box open, hooked it up to the TV, the big TV in the whatever. She told me where his man cave was and all that. And so he tried to put a PS2 disc in, right? And it didn't work. So he immediately took the game out, turned it off, took it back, and he stopped playing games after that. So I say all that to say, you know what I'm saying?
Which model did he bought?
He bought the second one. But while I was on the phone with her, right, I went into half price books, and this is like in 2018 before the prices went crazy, Johnny. Um, and I got the backwards compatible backwards compat PS3 for $50, and I still play on it to this day. It had the drive haven't went up. I don't update it, but I say that you can stand on business, Freddie, on your stance because that's what you paid for. You didn't pay for the game to be 30 FPS, or you didn't pay for the game to not be 4K or 8K. You paid for this experience and you're not getting it. You know what I'm saying? So I could totally understand, but I think it should be two different battles or two different standards that's going on. And as far as the discourse goes, like I said, everybody need to go read Wars by Blake Harris, or watch the documentary on Peacock, and then they got one on Netflix. It's called Game Over, or I think it's Game On. It's two documentaries that's on there about how they engineered these beefs or these whatever, and the it's still part of their marketing to this day. You know what I'm saying? The fact
Yeah,
that they
we
even
already know about that since Sega and Nintendo's.
yeah,
Sega was the only one that actually started it. So it was like the only console war ever started because of Sega. Sega does a Nintendo. And then after that it was history.
exactly. But I'm just saying the fact that they even have to put out that make a press release that should just be on the game page. It shouldn't even be made a big deal that it is. But they because they know what they doing. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Sony, Nintendo, whatever, they know it's gonna be some blowback, um some backlash. It's gonna be there every time. You know what I'm saying? It's never all right, it's just on the game page or whatever the case may be, and the game is coming out. Here's the date. We didn't even get a release date trailer. It was this press release that just came out. They didn't put the game up for sale or whatever yet. Um, you know what I'm saying? It was just to me, it was just stupid. But you know, it's got everybody talking about the game, so now they can come and double back, and that's the pushback that we should have. It shouldn't be the pushback shouldn't necessarily just be on the development side and everything else. It should also be in the marketing and how they communicate to us what's going on.
But that game should be pretty much automatically be 60 frames per second. I don't know why in 2024 we still getting like 30 frames per second when it comes to these games. If like I don't understand, you have the hardware to do it. Is the problem is a lot of companies be greedy and wants to spread the game out to all different type of platforms, and the game suffers. Instead of just putting it on a platform that you making it for next gen games. Why are you making it for Xbox One, PS4, and Switch when you know they pretty much does a weaker hardware? Make it for if you're gonna make it for the weaker hardware, make it later. But first, just make it for the next gen hardware, and then if it can be available for PS4, Switch, and Xbox One, even though Xbox One, when you buy the disc, you get both versions like on the disc. You buy it at retail. But for PS4 and Switch, if you want to do that later, go ahead.
No, I see. I agree with
I
you
honestly
on
think
that.
that.
Go ahead. Vic.
No, I honestly think that's just the Series S. The Series S held the Series S held all the Xbox games back. I truly believe if they did not release a Series S, and this is from someone that bought a Series S, but if they didn't release a Series S and they did the Sony route and made like a digital Xbox Series X, we wouldn't be having this conversation of these 30 to 60 FPS. We might maybe from some games because of the architecture of the PS5, it clearly takes a little bit of an
And the,
advantage over the Series
and the
X.
crazy thing about it
But
is
still,
they've with the Microsoft Activision court case and stuff like that that happened last year, they already making a digital Series X. So they're already making one right now. It's gonna be released like later on, maybe this year or maybe next year.
Yeah, they should have released that. Microsoft really wanted to get a lot of the audience from PC and Sony and Nintendo. They wanted to get people to convert to Xbox, which was the messed up. I feel like they went the DC route, trying to catch up to Marvel. Like I feel like they were just trying to. If they would have just did their thing, because Xbox have exclusive features for their box. They upscale resolution, and with unlocked frame rates from older games, they push it to 60, even sometimes more. So you can pop a 360 game into the Xbox, and you can get a more quality title without doing nothing besides putting it in a different box. So Xbox they have features, right? They got the smart deliveries, they got all that stuff. They have features, but that Series S, th- there can only be that can only be the solution to why these games aren't multiple first party games are being locked at 30 FPS. It's not just one. It's this like the fifth game that they about to release that's being locked at 30 FPS.
And you know what? I
But
think that's
I
what that's
was
gonna. I think that's.
I want to end it
Oh,
though
go
real
ahead.
quick, DJ Killzone, because I'm gonna let because I want to piggyback off of what you just said. I think Hellblade 2 is the perfect game to have both of these discussions on. I think that's why I'm happy that the discussion is going on, the discourse is going on. It may be aimed at the wrong people instead of the developers, maybe the corporates should be getting pushed back on. But still, for in general, and I love Ninja Theory, so I hate seeing anything being discussed wrong bad about them. But the specifics of this game being locked at 30 FPS and not running at 60 FPS, but also whether this game even needed a 60 FPS because of the game itself. This is an exception. It's an exception title. So I feel like the discussion can only really be had. Both of these discussions can only really be had with this
But
game.
why do people want a 30 frames per second mode in this game anyway?
Well, that's how some people play. That like or at least let me not say that they want the 30 FPS, but they are more fidelity mode players. Like I had just linked that Jack Johnny tweet. He's more of a fidelity mode player. It may be less of them, maybe it seems like, but there are people out there that's like that will prefer fidelity mode over better graphics over frame rates.
But you're playing a game where pretty much like you gotta keep a watch. It's like playing like you look at Hellblade. It's like watching playing a Souls game. It's not like some random game you could just like button mash and you like I could just get through it. Because if that's the case, then I don't think Hellblade would have got a sequel. It got a sequel because pretty much yeah, it's the story, but like the combat and everything else, like you have to keep an eye on pretty much the enemy. You have to keep an eye on their movements, their patterns, and everything else, what they slip up at. And 30 frames per second is not gonna do that.
I mean, I look at it like this. I think what y'all just said earlier about the digital Xbox Series X. I think that's what's gonna happen. Is that you're gonna get what's gonna happen is you're going to get they're gonna move people to get they gonna I ain't gonna say they're gonna wind it down, but they're gonna start staggering the releases for these games. They're gonna have to do it because they're gonna have people who got the physical and the digital, and they're gonna probably make it cheaper. So what's gonna happen is people gonna start. You gonna people have people that have Series S's, but they're gonna phase out the Series S's and they're gonna put the Series X out there. They'll probably say, hey, we're gonna delay the Series S version. They might even go the route of Sega where, hey, you can trade your Series S in because we're going to make a Series X that's basically a Series S, but it's gonna be the same price. they
I
gonna
don't think it's
sell.
the same because I don't think it's going to be the same price. Like
Well, I
it's
say
going to be
it'll
like
be
$100 cheaper because it doesn't have a disk drive. Because the Series X is $500. If you make it digital, it's probably going to be $400. The
yeah.
Series X is $300. The Series S is $300.
I think
So that
they'll do
means we have to
the
make people
middle of the
spend
road.
$100 more.
It'll be 350, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because if I could sell my Series S for a couple hundred, and then I'm paying just a buck 50, or I go to GameStop and they're giving me what, $300, and I'm just paying the difference. You know what I'm saying? People will go and they'll trade it in, and they'll, or even if it is 400, I'm looking at 350, 400, just because they're gonna have to, they're gonna take the blowback for that. Um,
They're gonna add a game. They're gonna add a game or two, then add Game Pass. That's how Microsoft always gonna be doing. Like when the first one, the Series S launched, like you just get the Series X. Now the Series S. Now the Series S has been out for a couple of years. They just add games and stuff like that. Have different bundles. I worked in retail where people selling Series S. It's like we had the Fortnite bundle. Then we had the Battlefield version, the Battlefield of 2042 version. You got that in Game Pass. I'm just thinking like there's like 30 frames per second should just be abolished. I think 60 frames should just be the move. And pretty much like when it comes to games like that, if you're not playing like no like heavy intense game, then I can mind at 30 frames. But if you're playing games where you're pretty much like combat, it's a combat heavy game. Like I just played the Stellar Blade demo. 30 frames per second will not cut it. It has to be 60 frames or even higher. Who knows? Pretty much when the PS5 Pro come out, maybe Celebrate pretty much could go beyond 60 frames.
Now to because I did look up the resolution and and the frame rates for Horizon Forbidden West. So when Forbidden Zero Dawn, I don't know. I think they patched in the 60 FPS because Zero Dawn came out.
2017.
If I'm not mistaken, Zero Dawn came out before the PS4 Pro.
No, Zero Dawn came
But
out when the PS4 Pro was already out.
yeah.
it
Yeah.
was, huh? But they patched in. So they okay
Yeah, they patched in the 60
because
frames mode and everything else, and especially patching another mode like a PS5 version mode for like you got Horizon Zero Dawn, like for you got the complete edition, or if you got the regular vanilla version.
you're right. I do remember playing Zero Dawn before the Pro.
What do
Okay,
you
so
mean,
yeah,
bro?
they had to
After
patch
the
that.
Pro.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I had a PS. Yeah, you're right. You're right. I had a PS. So when let me see. When did Zero Dawn launch?
It was 2017.
2017, and the Pro came out 13, 14, 15,
It came out in the year
16.
2016.
So the Pro had just came out. It just came out. So that's why Zero Dawn did not launch with a 60 FPS mode. However, Forbidden West and a lot and all of Sony's other first party games, but specifically Zero Dawn. I mean, Forbidden West because I just looked it up. Um, it launched with a performance mode of 60 FPS, but the performance mode, and this is usually the case with all of their first party games. If I'm not mistaken, it is all of the first party games. The performance mode is at 60 FPS, but the resolution is at 1600p to 1800p. Forbidden West was at 1800p, and they upscaled it to 4K with the checkerboard rendering that they use from the PS4 Pro. So it's upscaled 4K in all their performance modes. You're pretty much getting 4K visuals with 60 FPS and all of Sony's first party games. Now, I think that's the ideal way that people would like to play. And people don't want to have the choice of, oh, I can only play at 60 FPS and get like 1080p frames. I mean, get 1080p resolution and sometimes 720p resolution with some Xbox games. But or I can get the 4K but 30 FPS. People don't want to play like that. I don't think people truly want to have the options. They just want to play They want to have games running at least 4K 60 FPS. So that's the ideal world we want to live in. If for everybody, no matter if you're a fidelity person or a performance person, you want to play at 4K 60 FPS. But we don't have those options right now. I mean, we don't have that option right now besides from Sony's first party games. And I think that's what a problem lies in that. Sony used technology to develop the checkerboard rendering so we wouldn't be in the situation, right? We can pretty much have our cake and eat it too. But the problem is that Xbox and the rest of the gaming industry, they don't have solutions for that. The only solution that they would be VRR and PCs, but then again, you are already talking about PCs. So, you already have those 4K options and stuff like that, 8K options, depending on your rig.
Hey Freddie, you do know that they got the FSR2 and FSR3. That they was using that as a solution because that's what AMD put.
For what though? You talking for
Yeah,
consoles?
even for consoles, they consoles use FSR as well.
Yeah, I think it's FSR2 if I'm not mistaken. But even then, again, right? Sony is the only people. Sony's first party games are the only titles that we can play 4K 60 FPS without forget the modes. Even though they have modes, forget the modes. If you put it on performance mode, you're gonna get the 4K upscaled and 60 FPS. But it's only with Sony first party games.
True, true.
I think if Xbox had that option to where even if it was 1440p, forget checkerboard rendering, forget 4K, even if it was 1440p and you playing games at 60 FPS, I don't think people will have a problem with Hellblade 2, with Starfield, with any of these in any of the other games. But the problem is that some games be running at 720p resolution and still at 30 FPS. Some games be running at 720p trying to get to 60 FPS and not even at a stable 60 FPS. That's what a problem lies in that.
Yeah, man. So that problem does lie. But when it comes to Sony and doing first party titles, of course, a first party studio is gonna know what to do with the hardware, right? You can't expect a game developer. I mean, we were talking about Hellblade, so Hellblade probably was in development. Was that's Hellblade 2 we're talking about? Probably was in development for a long ass time. Um, you can't expect them to all run at 60. Just like we're not gonna expect Grand Theft Auto to run at 60. We're not gonna expect we don't expect Dragon's Dogma to ever come out with a patch that's gonna be 60. That's my only gripe with the whole thing is
Then
the
why
fact
release
that
the game then? Why release the game? You pretty much gonna give us like a half baked version of a fucking game.
system's not
Get
powerful enough to run it. Even on the top end PCs, they can't even do it. That's a problem.
Why release a Series S? I think that's the bigger question. And let me reset the room really quick. I know you was talking beast. I'm sorry. Let me reset the room
Yep.
because thank y'all for coming up. Thank you for Kakashi. I haven't talked to you in a while, man. I know I didn't say anything when you came up. We just kind of just started talking, but yeah, it's nice to see you. Nice to hear from you, man.
okay, same to you.
But yeah, we talking about this stuff. We can get to the game, the 21 questions, if y'all want to. After if y'all want to, say last thoughts or y'all want to keep conversing, it really don't matter. But yeah, if anybody else coming to the room, I'm just gonna probably reset the room again to welcome people into the room, um, just out of courtesy. But you can go ahead, Beast. I'm sorry.
No, you good. Like I was just saying, we was talking about earlier about the 60 FPS debate. We all know that the reason why a lot of the games ran at 60 FPS in the beginning of the console generation is because it was cross platform. When they start making games from the ground up, unless it's a first party studio that's doing it, like Returnal and games like that run at 60. If it's not a first party studio that's doing it, if it's third party, second party, stuff like that, they're not prioritizing that. They're not gonna prioritize that at all. And the consoles are not strong enough to run a lot of these games that's built up for the ground up for the new generation to run at 60 FPS. We got that plenty of times already. Dragon Dawn being the latest one, and I'm pretty sure Grand Theft Auto is going to be the same things as well. They're not going to be able to run that uh 60 FPS, and I don't think it's the Series S that's doing it. It's just the limitations of the AMD. What's this? What AMD RDNA 2? That's the limitation of the RDNA 2 because now we're at RDNA 4 for PCs now. So.
But with the PS5 Pro, Microsoft is not going to make another. They said they're not doing a mid console refresh. They believe in the Series X. So when the PS5 Pro comes out probably this year, or most likely next year before Grand Theft Auto 6 drops, and they get a cut time. They already sent out developers PS5 Pro dev kits, and some developers said like, "Oh, it's very unnecessary." But what if Rockstar get a hold of it, and it was like, "Hey, we can pretty much like you know take advantage of that PS5 Pro for people to get the PS5 Pro. You get 60 FPS, 4K, more bells and whistles than you did on the standard version of PS4 or PS5."
If you want me to answer that, so did you see the specs of the PS5 Pro?
Yeah, I seen the specs. I watch Mystic Ryan and stuff like that. He was went over the specs.
All right, cool. So you know that it's only a 10% boost to the CPU.
Yeah,
So a
but
lot of the time,
if you want a powerful, but here's my thing: if you want a powerful console, you're gonna have to pretty much fork over some money, and I don't think people's pretty much ready to spend $600 and $700. We already seen that with the PS3. You have to spend $600.
and and
You have to spend $600.
and, and usually too when it they don't usually upgrade the CPU too much until the actual next generation console. I'm not taking a side or anything. I just wanted to put that out. They the CPU upgrade ain't gonna really be upgraded to the PS6 and the next Xbox.
exactly. So that's what I was trying to get at. So even if you get a PS5 Pro, even if you do they're not doing an Xbox mid generation refresh, right? That 10% CPU power, that's just for certain games, and that's not enough to run certain games at 60 FPS. I tell you that right now. It's
But
still using RDNA 2. Sorry, not to cut you off, brother. It's still using RDNA 2. They super mega increased the graphics capability. That's what they did. And for a lot of games to run at 60 FPS, depending on the game, the CPU needs to be massively upgraded in order for that. That's really what's controlling the frame rates of the game is the CPU.
Well, one more thing too, because after like being in PC gaming and stuff more now, and talking with PC gamers, shout out to my guy Lazy Gamer. Um, it all depends. So when if games are targeting 1080p resolution, then the CPU and anything lower, the CPU is more of work. That's when you utilize the CPU more. But once you pass that 1080p resolution, so like you going to like 1440p or like 1600p, 1800p, 2160p, then the GPU is being more utilized. But if you're not so, and I'm saying all this to say most games they are trying to target 4K, right? If not 4K, um, the next phase or the future, right, is more than 1080p, more than HD. That everybody want to get to Ultra
40,
HD.
1440p is what they try to aim at, then they try to upscale to 4K.
Well, we can't really say that yet, because Sony already said they're not even trying to target 1440p, which I think is forget it. I ain't gonna put my opinion out there. They flat out said they're not trying to target 1440p. They don't want to focus on 1440p. And I mean, to be real, all the games run uh more than 1440p anyway. So, to each their own. But still, just as far as GPU and CPU whatever the word is, usage. Yes, usage. Um, if you are getting higher than 1080p resolution, if they are targeting 1080p resolution, the GPU is going to be more work. So that's why they are upgrading the GPUs more than the CPUs, because the CPUs aren't really even being utilized at that point when it comes to this frame rates and resolution.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but like I was telling you, a lot of games CPU bound. But yeah, PS5 Pro game. If it comes out and games are running at 60 FPS, are is anybody willing to pay another $600? Because you had to pay $500 already for the PS5, right? Do you want to pay another $500 for a PS5 Pro just to play Grand Theft Auto 6 at 60 FPS if it comes out at 60 FPS? I doubt it.
Well, I'm not really interested in buying Grand Theft Auto. I had enough of Grand Theft Auto. So like, for some people, if you want to do it, go ahead. But it's to me to buy a PS4 Pro, it's got to be certain other games going down the pipeline in the future. But I'm not buying the PS5 Pro for Grand Theft Auto. I think that's for certain people. I'm just pretty much tired of Grand Theft Auto. It's the same. It's the same goddamn game.
Now, to be honest with you, and that's another reason why GTA 6 is going to be 30 FPS. Most likely, it's going to be 30 FPS, because GTA 6 actually, GTA in general, is CPU bound. Like, that's the game that Dragon's Dogma. Most games aren't CPU bound though, and I'm only saying that because that's the thought that I had until I was corrected. But most games are not CPU bound, like at all whatsoever. There's only a few exceptions, and GTA is definitely one of those exceptions. Because like the what's going on in the world, the AI, the what I'm saying, the bots and stuff that's going on, the mechanics that's being utilized all the time. You flying a plane in the air, the clouds and stuff, like that all that stuff is like that's the CPU ness of it. But most games are definitely GPU bound right now, or at least they use more the GPU. Some games just not optimized. The developers just not optimizing and utilizing the power that's in there. Which actually Sony's just kind of flat out confirmed yesterday, or somebody from Sony just confirmed it yesterday, that they're not even using all the power. But yeah,
Yeah, they're not.
so it's like I'm my personal opinion for like the Pro system. I'm cool with them releasing. I'm always cool with them releasing the Pro system. Because then you give the consumer the power to say whether we want to buy it or not. I mean, they can always release a Pro and we just not buy it.
I'm
But
buying that Pro.
yeah, and so that's why I'm like, if we talking about the consensus of whether they should have one or not, I would be cool with it, because then it would be people like Beast who want to buy it. They have that option. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably not gonna buy it. I wanted the PS4 Pro so bad, and I'm glad I did invest into that. I do not regret it, but it's not. I'm not the PS5 Pro for me right now. And if I had just expandable income, like or whatever you call it, I would probably be invested into it. But if I'm focused on content creation, not going to my own personal stuff, but still, like, I'm okay with not investing into the Pro console this time, because it's not going to do what I wanted to do or I needed to do, like how the PS4 Pro did for me. So, but at least we got that option to say if we want to invest to it, or we, you know, or we don't.
Right.
I just wait to PS6.
I'll give you a backstory real quick. So I had a regular PS4, the original, right? Borderlands 3 came out. Anybody play Borderlands 3?
I have not.
Yes, I didn't beat it though.
Right. So if you play Borderlands 3 on base PS4, that game ran at 30 FPS. Play it on PS4 Pro, the game ran at 4K 60 FPS on PS4 Pro, and then of course they made a PS5 version and whatever. A lot of the games that I started playing on my PS4 Pro started running at 60 FPS more consistently than what it did on my base PS4. That was like the main reason. So I just hope that this time it's the same exact thing. I'm not worried about Grand Theft Auto. Just like old boy was saying, he's sick of Grand Theft Auto. I don't really care. I'm not like too hyped about it either. Whatever happens, happens. I know they have never released the game when they first released the game at 60 FPS, never. But I'm just hoping that some of the games that don't run 100% at 60 FPS on PS5 right now, we can name a couple right now that don't run at 60 FPS. Dragon's Dogma, Final Fantasy 16. Um, I'm trying to think of some other games that don't run at 60 FPS on PS5. Star Wars
Um,
Jedi Survivor. There's
yes,
a couple of
that
games right
was
now.
one. I was about to mention that. Yeah. They did patch Jedi Survivor, if I'm not mistaken, but it just came recently. It didn't launch like that.
No, when it launched, it was shit, and I played it on PC. I usually buy a game twice, and I'm a dumbass for it. I buy a game twice. I buy it on PC. I buy it on PlayStation. Certain games I play only on PC. Like if I was to play Diablo, I'm playing on PC. When I play Call of Duty and games like that, I'm playing that on PlayStation. So I do both. I always do both. But when a lot of these games came out, they they couldn't either. So for Star Wars, for example, it was an optimization issue. Gotham Knights is optimization issue. But a game like Dragon's Dogma, I don't. There's no operate thing on that because I can run that game at 60 FPS on my PC right now, right? But on the console, they're gonna run at 30 FPS. They have no choice. Not Helldivers. Hellblade coming out. That's what this whole thing's about. It's gonna run at 30 FPS. You're gonna see a lot more games running at 30 FPS, and then when the PS5 Pro comes out, then you're gonna see, oh hey, guess what? You can run this game at 60 FPS on there. That's gonna be probably the gimmick that they're gonna use to try to sell the shit.
Now, let me ask you a question. For Dragon's Dogma 2, right? Are you playing? Are you playing at 1080p? Like, what resolution are you playing with the 60?
Any game I play on PC is always 1440p. That's my monitor,
Okay,
1440p, 120 hertz.
okay, okay. That's pretty good. Damn. Okay. Um. Yeah, definitely not getting Dragon's Dogma on console. At least not right now. But yeah, I think the pro, like you were saying, like the Final Fantasy 16s of the world. I think the pro really gonna be for them second party, third party titles, right? Because again, Sony first party titles, we don't have a problem with them. They just well optimized. They basically 4K 60. But I really think that, and some of the articles said this too, where they was focusing like kind of how you just said. The pro is pretty much going to make sure games run at 4K 60 FPS. It's pretty much like what Xbox is doing with their console, like because again, what I said earlier, them 360 games, a lot of 360 games, you can if it has an unlocked frame rate, if the developers have frame launch like that, or they patched it in a while ago or whatnot, you can pop that into an Xbox Series X, utilize the power of that, and now you get boom, you got a lot of games running at 4K 60 on 360 games. So it's like it's
Exactly.
it's pretty much gonna be like the same thing that the Xbox is doing with their older titles, but we getting the newer titles like that. And if it does that, it's doing what it's supposed to do, in my opinion. I'm okay right now with playing at 1080p 60 if games do come out like that. Um, I think and I don't think we would have a problem with a lot of games doing that, even though we are having it right now. Only because the PS5 is still a powerful console. Like in my opinion, maybe not as if you talk comparing to the PC. It's showing age. It definitely has showed age. But as far as a console, you can tell the devs have not utilized the power of the PS5 yet. So even when the PS5 Pro come out and these games are launching, it's definitely got to be an optimization issue if we are still getting games that are coming out not running how they supposed to be. If we getting games from second and third party title, if we getting second and third party titles not running at 60 FPS at all, even at 1080p, even though that is CPU bound, which see this is what I'm talking about. 1440p. 1440p should be the standard of gaming in general because we won't have to worry about the CPU as much at that point. On top of that, you won't have to worry about always trying to target your games to 4K. What's up, TV2? Just resetting the room real quick
TV2,
before
my
we.
boy.
Hey, turn up. But yeah, what's up, man? We just talking. If you wanna, I think I saw your hand raised. That's why I'm sending you the That's why I'm sending you an invite to speak. If you don't want to speak, you can ignore it. But I think I saw your hand raised, so I'm just sending you the invite. But yeah, I was rambling. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nah, you good, bro. You good, man. Like I was saying with that, so it doesn't matter. You get the pro, you don't get the pro, doesn't really matter. It's most, like I said, most of these new games coming out are gonna run at 30 FPS and you gotta be accepted because these games are not cross-platform anymore. All the games in the beginning when PS5 first came out, Xbox first, the Xbox Series X first came out, they're all cross-platform, right? So all the games was gonna run, no matter what, it was gonna run at 60 FPS. And I kind of noticed that when it was like, oh, this game, the God of War is running at 60 FPS, Doom is running at 60 FPS, and I'm like, but these games are on last generation consoles too. How many games that you got now that are built up from the ground up running at fucking 60 FPS? You don't got a lot of them. You don't got a lot of them. It's gonna be less and less and less and less. And TripTube knows. I be going on rambles all the time about this stuff. I argue a lot of people on Twitter about shit like this all the time, bro. So it's good to see you though, TV Trip.
Well, I just won't be buying that much games. Like this year alone, I'm only buying like about a handful of games compared to last year. So I just won't be buying a lot of games. It's like they're not going to give you like 60 frames per second at launch, even if I'm not interested in them. I'm just not going to buy them.
I'm on the same wave. I'm on the exact same. I'm not spending. 2023, I bought a lot of games. 2022, I did not buy a lot of games because I just wasn't interested in the games that's out. But 2024, I'm doing exactly what you're saying right now. I'm not finna invest in my time if I bought a PS5. And I bought an Xbox Series S. I sold it now, but I bought an Xbox Series S too because of 60 FPS. Right? I didn't care about the graphical fidelity. That's why I bought the Series S. But if they're not going to be giving me what I want, I'm not going to put my money into it. I'm just going to wait until y'all patch the shit, and then I can get it on sale too.
Yeah,
Win
like
win.
after Stellar Blade, I have SMT5, I have Visage of Mana. I know those games are going to be running at 60 frames per second. What that was a couple of JRPGs. That's about it. I'm just like this year I'm gonna be JRPG crazy, and a lot of them gonna run at 60 frames per second. But as far as the rest of the
What's your
year, I don't
favorite
know.
JRPG, bro?
Persona had to be the Persona series.
Nice, nice, nice. I definitely respect that. Definitely respect that. I fuck with Persona.
I'm not a huge Final Fantasy person. I played the Final Fantasies over the years. I just I just prefer the Persona franchise more than Final Fantasy.
Right.
Yeah, but I just to elaborate though, still the pros for people that are do want to invest into these day ones and just want to have that stuff is definitely.
The people
I definitely like the
the
fact they
people's
have
gonna
it
invest in
as
it
a.
day one is people that just like, you know what, I just want the upgrade, I just want the new shit out with the old, in with the new stuff. Then you got people that didn't get a PS5, it's been hard to get one. Now this Pro is out. I'm gonna get this one. That's only people that's gonna be buying the PS5 Pros. But for people that like want to buy like just want to get the regular PS5, they're gonna price cut it. I think this year will be the year they price cut the system.
I was about to say B said he wanted to get it because he want that 4K 60.
Bro, listen, I
Which
got a problem. Anytime there's some performance boost on something, I always get it. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry. They didn't do this back PS2, PS3, PS4. Well, they did a PS4. I always do that. But yeah, man. It's just, and when it comes to the price cut, they just started making money on selling the consoles, right? They just started making money on selling the consoles. Every generation they lose money on the console because you make your money based off the games, based off the network and stuff. PS3 they did that, PS4 they did that. PS5, since remember when PS5 first came out, they had the chip shortage, right? So when the chip shortage was happening and nobody was buying, all the scalpers was buying the PS5s and the Xbox series and all that stuff, they wasn't making no money on any of these things. They're just now starting to make the money now. I don't know if a price cut is going to happen this year. Next year, 100%. This year, I don't know.
If the
You know what I?
PS5 Pro comes out this year, may not come out this year, may come out
I
next
don't
year.
think. Yeah, I don't think it's coming out this year either. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's coming out this year.
oh no, it's definitely coming out this year
PS5 Pro is coming out
for a
this year.
fact. For a fact, yeah, it's definitely coming out this year because we got to think about. We a year late, I think. If I'm not, wait, no, are we 3 years into the
You about
PS5?
to be close to
Are
4
we?
years.
So, what do you think the price is going to be on the PS5 Pro? If you guys don't mind me asking.
Most likely
It's gonna be.
600.
Uh, yeah, I agree. It should be 600 only because I'm gonna be real with you. The PS3 came out at 600. There was no pro console out here. Why not launch the PS5 Pro at 600? Like you are literally solving all the problems that you had with the PS3.
You can't compare that the PS3 to the PS5 because the PS3 was the last generation where they cared about this. So remember, there was Blu-ray players that was coming out during the PS3 generation that was $1,000, and the PS3 came out at $600. So you was basically getting a benefit. That's the same kind of thing they did with the PS2 because there was no DVD drives or the DVD drives that the DVD players rather that people had were very expensive. But now we're not thinking about that type of stuff anymore. You know what I mean?
Now we are though. We are. That has been one of the first thing I think the PS5 Pro has come down 600 because the PS5 is 500, and I don't think it's going to drop down in
If
price
it's
when
not going to
the
be
PS5
600, if
Pro
it's not going
launches.
to be 600, it might be 550 at the most.
Kind of like
Yeah,
how the Switch did with the
I don't
OLED.
see it. I don't see it though because none. It could change. History can change, but I don't see Sony or Microsoft coming out with a console, especially a pro console, at a $50. You know what I'm saying? Like median. Is either 600 or 700.
I don't think it's going to be 700. I think it's going to be right at 600. But
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
like, well, it might be 600. If
What
that's
you
the
think,
case,
Yeah.
Tube?
go ahead.
Huh?
Nah, I just wanted to try to get Tube involved in it. I know he's listening. What you think, Tube? Put in a comment. What do you think? PS5 Pro. What do you think the price is gonna be on that? You don't gotta reply right now. I'll let everybody else speak. I just wanted to get you engaged in it. That's all.
And I want to start this game with y'all too in a minute, but um you got to think about so with they big technology releases and stuff like that, that 99.99, they need that to compel people to buy it. That's something that's definitely in a business textbook, right? Having a 49.99 is not really compelling people to get it because they feel as though when you got that 49.99 for a big technological release. I ain't talking about TVs, right? Because TVs got so many freaking models that they like cell phones, and you can do that. But when it's on it, like, they only got two SKUs, but it's three of them now because of the slim, and I guess four of them because of the digital one. But when you don't got that many SKUs, and you talking about your biggest release, right? The PS5 Pro gonna be the most expensive, the most powerful console that they got. that $49.90. I mean that $49.99 ending price tag is not. It doesn't suit it. So like as a business, I don't think Sony's gonna touch that $49.99 price tag. But I did want to say too that that's been the biggest talk of the town of the PS5 Pro being compared to the PS3. Like the IGNs, all of them talking about it. The community, the gaming communities, everybody been talking about it.
What in
Between PS3, what is the comparison?
My bad, you had cut off a little bit. What you say?
I was saying, like, what is the comparison between PS3 and PS5 Pro?
Right. So the price tag. Um, Sony has never truly like 100% recovered from that $600 price tag of the PS3. Now they definitely made a staple with that PS4, right? With the launch, throwing shots at the Xbox, all this and that, right? They gained their grace back, right? But at the end of the day, for PlayStation investors, I'm not talking about I'm talking about consumers, right? The consumers that have invested their money into the PlayStation brand ever since the PS3, that history, just like the that what couple weeks outage, internet outage, that still has like almost a traumatic effect on consumers. So when you got a system like the PS5 Pro coming out and you had the PS5 come out as $500, the only next up price really is either 550, which I don't think they're gonna touch, and 600. Like 600 is like the uh the sweet spot, and that's the exact same price as the PS3. So people are just comparing it just because of familiarity reasons. And I'm not saying if it's right or wrong. I'm just saying people are doing it, and it's human nature, rightfully. It's human nature to do so.
It is human nature to do so, but the people got to realize the reason why the PS3 came out at $600 is because it was a Blu-ray player. It was a Blu-ray player, so
You have
it
to
came
put
out.
you have to put this in the perspective. It was a Blu-ray player. You get to play PS1 games, PS2 games. You could play all the systems that came out all in one. You can play it on the HD. You can have smoothing, so you can smooth the games out, so they won't look like I'm playing a PS1 game on a PS3. You can smooth the games out. You can have you can pretty much put all your saves digitally onto the system by memory card adapter. So there was a lot of things. The reason why the PS3 was like $600 for that model. If you didn't want
Exactly.
that, you had to go for the $500 model. Well, no,
So
yeah, the $500 model.
so that
Yeah,
yeah, and that's another reason. That's so I got to push back on that. And what you just said, Kakashi, actually proves why I got to push back on it. um, that's what they tell you. But research has showed that number one, a disk drive is one of the least expensive things on there. And I understand it's a Blu-ray. I understand it's a Blu-ray drive. Don't get me wrong. But that was the excuse of how or why they upscaled the price to that.
The,
The Blu-ray player was not that big
are
of
you
a
talking about
contribution into a
the
lot of
cell chip?
that
exactly. It's
too,
because of the architecture.
that too. But
That's
look,
why.
Freddie, Blu-ray players at during that time were $1,000, bro. They was
It's
a thousand
$1,000
dollars.
Yeah, but
because
that's
it's
because
brand new. Like
exactly. It's not because
remember
it cost
HD DVD?
$1,000.
HD DVD was expensive
I
as well
remember that
too.
too. I remember that too. It was
Is exactly, and you got to think about this too. The PS2 launched with HD disc drives.
yeah.
So why didn't they upscale the PS2 like that?
PS2 launched with DVD player. It was a cheap DVD player. The same. That's the same.
But it was HD.
Well, not necessarily.
It was
It
HD.
was SD. Wait,
It was definitely
No, it
SD,
was
but then
HD.
they had an output of upscaler to go to up to 1080i because a couple games ran at 1080i on the PS2. But that
No. HD is 720p. 720p is
it's
the CD-ROMs were 720p, either 480 or 720p output. That was HD.
nah, I'm not saying that wasn't HD. What I'm saying is that when they did the same strategy twice. All right, they did the same strategy twice. They did when the PS2 came out. The reason why the PS2 sold so much at that time was because it was a cheap DVD player. DVD players was way more money at the time when PS2 came out. So it sold. It's like it's almost like a lot of people had PS2s just to watch DVDs. Same thing with Blu-ray.
Exactly.
Same thing with Blu-ray. When Blu-ray plays was coming out, Blu-ray plays was coming out at $1,000, $1,500. I remember it too, right? So, but then you can go buy a PS3 for $600. Xbox when the 360 first came out, and then look, we got Nardo in the building. What up, Nardo? What up, Nardo? When 360 first came out, they were still running off of DVD. So a lot of the games that they was play that you would play on 360, used to have like 4 or 5 discs on the system, right? Last Odyssey was one of them. I lost one of the discs on that damn game, and I couldn't even finish the damn game because of that. It's all because it was using DVDs. Then they made HD DVD. They made like a little expand like a little side thing that they came out with 360 for it with the HD DVD. Didn't really do too well. Blu-ray won, but that's literally the main reason why that system was $600. And they were selling the system at a massive loss, $400 probably lost on that system.
Okay, I see it. We saying the same things, we wording it differently. I hear it now because I can agree with that. They definitely launched the PS3 selling it at 600 because of the Blu-ray player. It didn't need to be. It wasn't. It didn't cost. Of course, it didn't manufacture. It cost $600, but still, it didn't cost 600 because of the Blu-ray. It cost that much because of the sale processor. But they sold it for 600 because, like you just said, when the PS2 came out, most people bought it because of DVD player. My dad bought 4 PS2s because of, you can play DVDs from it. Not even because he wanted me to have PS2s everywhere. It's because they want people can watch movies from it. So then your next product, you will be a fool not to maximize your profits. Look, we had this thing selling boatloads of money. Of course, we had good games, but we had CD-ROMs in it, right? People were buying it as a DVD player. So now we got a Blu-ray DVD player or a Blu-ray player in here, and the Blu-ray players were costing like thousands of dollars, right? $1,000, right? So why would we sell this for $500, which it was supposed to be, you know, adequately a price with the Blu-ray player, if we can sell it and maximize our profits for 600 because you're going to come and get it still since the Blu-ray players are $1,000. You're right about that. You're exactly right.
And then also that generation was the biggest leap we ever seen in that we had this video before. That was the biggest leap in gaming that we ever seen. PC games was playing like that for forever, right? We had PS2. A lot of the games on PS2 would it was like it felt cheap when you was playing a lot of PS2 games, right? When the PS3 came out, Xbox 360 came out. That was because that was a jump from SD to HD, right? That's the biggest jump we ever seen. Yeah, we went from HD to 4K. Do you notice a big difference between a PS4 game and a PS5 game? To me, very very rare that I notice a difference. Indistinguishable. I'll say that. I don't notice that big of a difference between the two generations, other than the frame rate and some more detail on the screen because they got more power to do it. But in terms of resolution, we're still at the same resolution on PS4, PS5 that we were on for a while. That's 2 generations in a row. Every other generation we increased. So that's another reason why it was $600. What did the PS2 launch at? I think it launched at 300, right? Am I wrong? 300?
Well, you said what launched at
Yeah, what the PS2 launch at? I think I don't know why I'm thinking of 250, but
the
I
PS3
think it
launch
did launch at
no, the PS2 launched at $300.
it
It
did.
launched at
Okay.
300.
Okay.
Yeah. He's right. It launched at 300. So launched at 300. Um, on top of it launching at 300, it was a DVD player. So then, like I said, the PS3 was a Blu-ray player. We haven't seen that big of a technological leap, so it doubled the price. So the PS3 launched at 600, which the PS4 launched at 400, which the PS5 launched at 500. So the PS3 was the most expensive one to launch to date. Because of the reason that, like I just said, it was a Blu-ray. So I don't know, like, man. So if they do a pro, like old boy was saying, Takashi, that's your name, right?
Yeah.
All right. Like you were saying, I'm pretty sure they have to drop the price of the PS4, I mean PS5, and then make the new one the $500. I think that is going to be the case. I don't think it's going to be 600. I can't see it being 600. What was the PS4 Pro when it came out? Wasn't that $400 too?
It was $400, but when the PS4 Pro came out, they reduced the price. By that time, they made the PS4 Slim, and they made that $300. Meanwhile, the PS4 Pro was $400.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they're going to do the same exact thing again.
So they already got
This is what I think.
they already have the slim, the quote unquote slim one that we have out now. They're gonna price reduce that because it's already pretty much like cheaper to like manufacture. So they probably will reduce it like to $400. Or hell, Sony might just pretty much like, you know what, we still need a little bit more money. Might be $450.
This what I think they're gonna do. I Y'all could be right. I'm gonna be real. Y'all could be right. But this is what I think they're gonna do. I think they're gonna launch the PS5 Pro at 600. They're gonna keep all the prices how it is. So you got the PS5 Pro 500. I'm talking about when they launched it. The Pro 500. The Slim is what 450 with the disc drive. Um, Regular model 400.
Yeah, we gotta put that in that effect. We have to put like the PS5 Pro is gonna come out with a digital model. They just can't just like, oh, for the regular PS5 and you have these new slim ones. They had a digital and the physical version. They're gonna come out with the physical version probably might be $600. Meanwhile, the digital version will be 500.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie. I think they're just gonna have one SKU of the Pro. I think they're gonna have say, and again, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But what I think they're gonna come out with the PS5 Pro is gonna have a disc drive. It's gonna be one model. It's gonna be 600. If it's detachable, maybe they release a digital version for 550. Right. But I think it's gonna be 600. And then I'm gonna be real with you. I think from then on out, the PS6 is gonna be 600. Um, and I fully believe the PS6 is going to be 600. One, because Sony don't look like they backing down from upgrading this tech no more. Like we're not doing these small incremental steps anymore. We are putting our foot to the ground, upgrading this tech as much as we want to, and not worrying about the price. So for us not to worry about the price, we're gonna charge our 600 for it, and they just gonna keep um, dropping the price down to the older models. The PS5 Pro gonna be 500. The PS5 gonna be 400. But another reason why I think that is because I think that we're gonna be getting more backwards compatible games. Like a lot of the games that's going to be releasing on PS6 is going to be releasing on PS5, and I think that's going to happen well into 3 or 4 years into that console cycle. Why? Because they can. The PS5 and the PS5 Pro is still going to be viable machines, you know what I'm saying, for when PS6 games drop. They did it with the PS4, and look how weak that system is. So, you know,
I just got one question real quick. Are we having a hard time playing PS5 games right now, or this generation of games right now at the moment? Certain games, of course, is underperforming, but are we having a hard time playing these games right now?
Are you talking about as far as like how they releasing, as far as their
Yeah,
performance?
like performance wise, are we having a harder time? How do I explain it? Was the PS4
I
generation
think.
worse
Hmm.
releasing games, or is this generation worse releasing games?
Uh, I think it's kind of the same. But the biggest difference to me is that I think again it's a developer thing. As some like I think it was an article yesterday that kind of confirmed this. Like, somebody said at Sony PlayStation that developers aren't utilizing the power of the PS5, and I believe that's true. They just aren't utilizing the power yet. Almost kind of like the PS3 generation.
Yeah,
So like
definitely the
when
PS3 generation, they underutilized that because of Microsoft playing like dirty fucking tricks back in the days. Because if you look at games like
yeah,
if you look at NBA 2K7, go look at that game, go look at the 360 version. Very night and day.
He's
Motherfuckers like I
definitely
was
right
playing
about
that game.
that.
Like I was playing that game. I was like, damn, nigga, Shaq look like a fucking a house slave. That man sweating. Cole looked like he actually looked like Cole. Then when you look at the 360 version, like this shit was like a PS2, bruh.
Let me.
and the PS4 did the same thing. Remember, because like we didn't have games looking like The Last of Us,
Yeah.
on PS4 until the end of the generation.
Hey, Fred,
So like,
we're all recorded, right?
yeah, we are.
Okay. I have a big thing to say about this one topic here because this is where I started my career on, bro. So let me know
Go
when you
ahead,
finish.
go
All
ahead.
right. So look, listen. As we all know, PS3 had the cell architecture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And Xbox has had what has Xbox done every generation when it comes to their architecture that they use? They usually use PC parts, right?
Brute force power, right?
Okay.
They don't do no custom. Really, they truly don't do no custom besides the AMD tech, I guess. But
They
no custom shits. They just put in brute force power.
they do a little customization, which is good. But an Xbox is like damn near a PC that you sell on the market. Um, when it came to PS1, they had a special chip. When it came to PS2, they had a special chip. I even remember the name of the damn chip. The chip was called the Emotion Engine on PS2. PS3, they had the cell architecture, right? What changed? When you went from PS3 to PS4, that generation, right? What is everybody using?
X86,
What is everybody using? Everybody was using.
the X86 architecture, the PC stuff, like you were saying.
You're right. So they using the PC architecture. What is PlayStation using right now?
PC architecture.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So everybody's using PC architecture. Nobody is unique no more besides Nintendo. You can say Nintendo is unique because they're using an old ass piece of shit chip from even when the damn Switch release was outdated, right? We got that.
Yeah, I think they use a mobile type. It's a mobile chip in there, right?
They using the Tegra X1, which is a mobile chip, but they considered it a super chip when it was first released. They considered it one of the best mobile chips of all time because it was able to adapt to certain things so that you can play console quality games on the go, right? Couldn't do
Right,
that.
right. I
Couldn't do
remember that.
that
Okay.
with the PSP. Couldn't do it with PS Vita. There was none of. There was none of the PCs, the portable PCs that we have now, the Steam Decks, the RG Allies. There was none of that stuff then, right? Because that technology didn't exist at the time. Okay, cool. So, but everybody's following suit now. When you look at even with the Steam Deck and the Rogue Ally and everything, everybody using AMD chips in it. There's one that doesn't use AMD chips. I think it's an MSI Quad. I think it uses Intel, but Intel sucks, right? There's no more taking the risk on the architecture because that cell chip that was in that PS3 was supposed to be used in TVs and laptops and everything. It was supposed to be
Yeah,
like
the military used the PS3s. Militaries, hospitals used PS3s.
exactly. So there's no more of that. Now I say all that to say the fact that they said they couldn't get the full usage out of the PS3 is because it cost so much money and it was so hard to design any game for the PS3. You go put it on 360, right? It's easy as fuck. You take the PC port, you put it on Xbox, it just works. Everything linked up. But if you did it on PS3, you had to invest more money into um optimizing the game for PS3 than you even wanted to ever do. And at the time, PS3 wasn't selling well, right? So why the hell would they do that? They wouldn't do that. So that's why the games like you was just saying NBA 2, was it NBA '07 or whatever?
NBA
Well,
NBA 2K NBA 2K7 and Sony had a NBA game, but Kobe on the cover. It was 2007. That shit
yeah,
was
that
like
was
pretty
it.
much that
Yeah,
ran off the power. When you see the actual sweat, like them sweating, and it's like you see them still continuously sweat. Unlike you playing like basketball games or football games on the 360.
yeah. So during the 360 time, all the multi-platform games perform better. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them perform better on 360, 100%, because they was not trying to take out that time to make a game specifically for that cell architecture. It was hard to develop for. It was the only people that knew how to utilize that shit was Sony, right? But now it's not. Now everything is exactly the same. Everything's the same. Xbox has a AMD chip in it, RDNA 2. PlayStation 5 has a RDNA chip in it. Steam Deck has a RDNA chip in it. Rogue Ally, Legion Go, all these companies have the same thing. So there's no excuse for them to be like, okay, we cannot get the full utilage out of it. Now, basically, you're making games. Okay, some games perform better on the Xbox now. Some games perform better on PlayStation. It's not a big gap like it was before. It's not a big gap like it was before. They ain't no. So when they say like, "Oh, we're not using the full power," I think that's just a marketing tactic, bro. I feel like they just saying that shit. Really, I feel like they're just saying that.
Now, this is why I disagree. This is why I disagree. The only reason why the cell architecture was, hold on. The only reason why the cell architecture was so hard to develop for was because developers were unfamiliar with the architecture on how to develop for it. That's the exact same thing when it comes to every single generation. Even though it's easier to develop for the architecture they got now, developers still have to familiarize themselves with the tech that they're given. That's why they're given dev kits. So again, the cell architecture was a different architecture, right? But again, the problem wasn't just because it was different. The problem was that they were unfamiliar with the architecture. So once the PS6 come out, even if the architecture for the PS6 and the next Xbox is just like another PC or whatnot, they still have to familiarize themselves with their architecture. It's gonna be 10 times easier, but they still got familiar. They still have to be familiar with the tools that they are given.
Yeah, that's true. They have to be familiar with it. But how much more do you need to be familiar with a architecture that everybody is using?
Well, just the thing though, the PS5 is not just like any other PC or any Xbox. Even though it shares similar technology, the PS5 is still more customized. There's a lot of reasons why. The SSD. The SSD is not, the read and write speeds are totally different on a PS5 than any other PC. In fact, PCs had to catch up. SSDs had to catch up with Sony's SSD with the read and write speed, and they still haven't done so just yet. Sony's SSD on paper is faster than any PC SSD that's out there. Well, actually, I think that they did catch up with like one or two of them, but still, when it launched, it was one of its kind. On top of that, you still got the PS5 overclock components, which nobody talks about. But this is one of the main things I was talking about before the PS5 launched. Mark Sony literally developed the GPU and the CPU with it's always overclocking. It's not running the same as a standard PC CPU or GPU. It is always overclocked, always.
Yeah,
So developers have to familiarize themselves with it. Now the thing about it, it's easier because the technology is the same, right? The SSD is working just like how SSD will work on a PC. The CPU and GPU is working the same how they're working on a PC. The difference is that they are working bigger, faster, stronger, no diddy. Okay? So developers haven't caught up to it yet. That's what I mean by they're not utilizing the power because they are literally sitting on power that they do not know how to unlock yet.
How you feel about that, Takashi?
What you said?
I said, how you feel about what he just said?
I feel like that's true. I think most of these developers like they not like really they're not focusing on enough like on power and everything else. Like I don't know. I just think this landscape of gaming is like completely different. Like when it comes to like generations before, because back then it was like there was like less risk compared to this generation. Like every game was like it's a gamble. Nobody wants a game to flop, but then again, the games did flop when we was growing up. But they can still bounce back. Now these companies they don't want to take a risk like making a powerful game and it might not sell, and then pretty much the company or the development studio gets tanked.
That's true.
Right.
If
And so they saving all that for the back end of the generation. That's why we're not really gonna get a lot of games that utilize this power until the next year or so. Like until the tail end of the PS5. It's honestly it's almost like the past just keep repeating itself. We can talk about the difference in the architecture with the PS3. We can talk about how the PS4, generation changed. But when it comes to developers developing these games for these systems, it's all the same. They're not utilizing the full power of these systems, no matter what the architecture is, until later into the generation. And we see that time and time again after, in each generation. The thing about it, how this is different, or how it will be different in the future, is that since they are more familiar with the PS5, with the PS5's architecture, because it's closer to PCs, when we do get to the tail end of the PS5, they're going to utilize the power more. However, what I'm predicting is that this is why I'm saying we're going to have more cross-generational games. Even when the PS6 come out, they're going to be so familiar with the PS5 and the fact that how the PS5 is designed, what I'm saying, with the architecture, it's going to be able to keep up with the PS6 games.
it's gonna keep up with the PS6 games. So the reason why they didn't go crazy with the PS5 Pro, which is coming out, is because they want the compatibility with um the PS5 game that's gonna be backwards compatible with the PS6. Xbox did it right. Xbox did it right with the backwards compatibility, and TV Chip too. He knows it firsthand because he plays a lot of the older games too. Xbox,
No, facts, I agree.
they researched and they did all their art they call art then they research and development crew, and they went and they tested out all these games so that they work for generation to generation to generation. What did Sony do when the PS2 was out? They had a backwards compatibility with PS1 games. When PS3 came out, they didn't have the time, the money that Microsoft had to even make that decision to try to emulate it, because Xbox, that's what they do, they emulate it. There's no chip inside of the Xbox that's the old chip that the original Xbox the 360 was had that is running. They do emulation. PS3, in order for it to run PS2 games, had to have the same exact chip as the PS2 in it, and then I think some of them had the emulation, but then after that it was that any slim model PS3, any um um super slim. What was that? That was a super slim. That's what they call it, with the little door handle thing. A PS3 they had. That didn't have the backwards compatibility, right? So I say that to say
I'm gonna have to cut you off on that. The PS3 has always been backwards compatible. Here's the thing: since after they eliminated the PS2 like backwards compatibility, but you can still play PS1 to this day. All PS3 models you can play PS1 games. It was just the PS2 was just more expensive. That's why they didn't want to like when they went from the PS3 the fat models to the slim models. But you can still
Right.
play the PS1 games on the all the the slim models, even the original fat models.
Yeah, I think that was a business thing. They just want you to invest into the PS3.
But then you couldn't.
I'm gonna be
Well, a
real.
PS3 Slim.
But you couldn't take.
Well, yeah,
You couldn't.
just in general though, because they had the backwards compatibility at first, but Sony wanted to be greedy, and since they lost out money on on a launch because people ain't want to invest into it, they're like, man, forget y'all. We ain't gonna let you play your PS2 games on here. So, yeah,
But by
you
that
you
time,
you
but
gonna
by
have
that time
to
when they
cover
did
that
that, it was
money.
like, bro, give me a PS2 anywhere, bro. You can get a PS2 back then. You get a PS2 for dirt cheap. You get it for $30.
He's right.
Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Then
go to your
people,
local mom and pop shop. I went to my local mom and pop shop, even though I didn't really fuck with them. There was a bunch of Jamaican dudes in there. I was robbing the motherfuckers because they didn't know what the fuck was going on anyway.
Damn, bro, I'm Jamaican. Chill out, bro. I'm not Jamaican, by the way.
Bro, they were selling They were selling Bang Bang clothes in there. I was about to buy some fake Jordans from them. I was like, nah, bro. Give me that Dragon Ball Z Budokai, Shin Budokai for the PSP, and give me a do rag.
hey, Beast, you muted right now.
Oh yeah, my fault, people. But yeah, he's right. Thank you.
Yeah,
He's
but you can
No,
still
I just
play
wanted to make sure.
PS1 games on there because if you got the Slims and shit like that. Because my brothers had Slims. I was like, why the fuck they still got like the memory card shit? I popped the PS1 disc in there. That shit worked. I was like, oh, you just can't put PS2 discs in there.
Man, I remember, bro. Look, I'll tell you. I keep telling stories. We're in the story, so that's the stories is about. I mean, sorry, the Twitter space is about stories, right? I got my first PS3, and I skipped out on 360 at first because I didn't want the 360. I don't know why I didn't want the 360 at the time. At the time, back then, years and years and years ago, when I was a immature little boy, I didn't care. I cared about console wars, right? Oh, you got a PlayStation, you got an Xbox, whatever, whatever. I don't care about none of that shit anymore, right? I got my PS3, 2006. Standing in line, I spent the $600. I bought Resistance Fallen Man. That was like one of the first games, and it was like another game, Gundam, some shit. The game ran at like 15 FPS. It's a fucking shitty ass game.
Nah, that
My
game was a hidden gem.
Yeah, it was bad. It was my dog